Hello and welcome everyone. This is the Animal Struggle channel, and we've got a very special guest today, the one and only Gary Yourofsky. I'd just like to give you a warm welcome, Gary, to the channel. And
Thank you.
first of all, I just want to say it's a great honor and privilege to speak with you today. You've had a massive impact on my life. I went vegan back in October 2012 after watching your speech, the best speech you'll ever hear. And this year marks my 13-year vegan anniversary. And since then, I've been actively involved in activism, helping a good amount of people to go vegan. And I even started some animal safe groups like Manchester Pig Save, Liverpool Pig Save. And I also met the love of my life, my wife, Nicole, who's also a vegan and an activist. So I just want to sincerely thank you for all you've done. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people owe their vegan journey to you. And the animals and the movement are lucky to have you fighting alongside us.
Man, thank you so much. I didn't realize you were a Gary vegan, and big shout out to Nicole. I know she's going through some health stuff right now, so I love you, Nicole. Get strong, and I'm excited to be here today and to talk to you, Andrew.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support with Nicole. She's a big fan as well. This interview is going to be a little bit different because I've watched a lot of your amazing podcasts and interviews. So I wanted to do some, similar questions, but also something that you might not have been asked before, to make it a bit more interesting for you, but also interesting for people that are listening. The first question I want to start with is, so what brought you out of retirement and what got you back into activism?
Well, the universe brought me out. I was pretty much dead in a coffin in Michigan. I was burnt out beyond belief. My brain had melted from dealing with not only society, but some people in the vegan movement that have been attacking me for a long time. And I was just worn out, man. And there was this activist, a great activist in Frankfurt, Germany, near Rosenfeld. I had converted him to veganism years ago, and he now has 7 vegan restaurants in Frankfurt. And his daughter Zoe just opened up one. So there's 8 vegan restaurants in that family. And he had been wanting me to come out there for a long time. So I gave him a call. I said, and I was just considering it because I was still stuck in my own world. Although it was a coffin in many ways, I was very comfortable. I was comfortably numb, as Pink Floyd once said. And I called him up. I said, "Don't get too excited. I'm thinking of coming out to Frankfurt. Could I stay at your place?" He said, "Of course. Are you kidding me?" I said, "Calm down. I didn't say yes. I'm just considering it." And then my good friend, great activist Paul Bashir, Anonymous for the Voiceless, I had not talked to him in years because I hadn't talked to anybody in years. He happened to call me up. So we're shooting the shit and what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, "So what do you got up? Where are you going to be?" He goes, "Man, we're doing 30 days of the Cube of Truth in Cologne." I said, "You got to be kidding me, of all the gin joints in all the world. What, you're going to be in Cologne this summer? Because I'm thinking of going to Frankfurt." "How far is Frankfurt from Cologne?" He said, "That's like a 45-minute train ride. Are you kidding me?" I looked up at the heavens. I said, "Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm going back. I'm back." So that brought me back into action. But I want you to know too, Sasha Farm was also on my mind because they're struggling right now because the old owner wants to sell the land, uh, that because he's retiring and he wouldn't gift it to the new group of activists that wanted to take over. So they owe him $675,000 for 50 acres of land. So I wanted to speak out on behalf of them and try to get some money into Sasha. So Sasha Farm and then Paul Bashir and Anonymous for the Voiceless and Nir Rosenfeld. This all came together in this beautiful maelstrom. And here I am. I'm back in action. It was good to be back on the streets again. I did a fundraiser for Sasha in Frankfurt at one of Nir's restaurants. And I was there in Frankfurt for 3 weeks. I headed on down to Cologne. I joined AV for 30 days of demos. And then I went to Amsterdam with AV as well for 10 days. And then I met the love of my life, Carmen Conesa, who is now my social media manager. I met her when I was in Germany. And then I asked her if I can go to Sevilla, Spain, which is where she's from. Can I fly down there and take you out on a date? And she said yes, and we fell in love. And she's now back here in Michigan with me, and we are just having a great time. And I needed a social media manager anyway, so it's what she used to do for a living. And now that's why I'm on Instagram and with all these great videos. And here I am, man. By the way, nothing in my life is really ever planned. It just kind I just kind of go with the flow. Everybody thinks all my activism back in the day was planned. You got to be shitting me. I was on a freestyle my whole activism career. I just went wherever the universe was taking me.
Yeah, and you put the work in as well. You're very committed and just had that laser focus. So there's no stopping you. I can see you got that focus back in your eyes again, like you're ready for what's gonna come. And congratulations on, meeting your love of your life and all the great things that have been happening. So it's amazing.
Man, everything's awesome, honestly. And yeah, and I don't know where the universe is going to take me next. Right now, it's taking me online for Instagram stuff, and I'm enjoying doing a bunch of videos and trying to encourage vegans to become activists. One thing that I regret doing back in the day, and I did with 2,660 lectures, I was just concerned with converting people to veganism,
Mm.
but I didn't ask people to become vegan activists. So now I'm going back and I'm trying to ask all the Gary vegans out there throughout the world, you got to speak up now. We need help. You can't just rely on a few dozen people around the world or a few hundred people who are speaking out. We need more voices. So this is another reason why I'm also back. I want to encourage people to become activists. We have to get together. We have to be stronger in numbers.
That's so true. It's like when you go to a vegan festival, there's thousands of vegans, but you never see these people in the activist circles. So it's like, what are you doing, guys? Come on. We need to get
Right.
out.
Everybody wants to make it a social visit and eat all the great plant-based food, and that's all fun and that's fine and dandy when the day is over. Make sure you put in your activist work first. So here's a story that nobody really knows. In 2000, after going to hundreds of animal rights conventions from 96 to 2000, just nonstop every week, every month, going somewhere else, seeing the same crowd of people, but nobody was doing anything. We were just talking about doing stuff. So in 2000, after I was at my last conference, I said, why are we all just getting together, patting each other on the back, and not really doing anything? You know what? I'm done with this. I'm going out there and I'm going to do something. And that's kind of when Gary Yourofsky's activism was really born. I was doing a ton of cool stuff back in the 90s, don't get me wrong, a bunch of civil disobedience and the mink liberation. But it still wasn't enough for me. I wasn't converting people to our cause and having them understand. I was raising hell, and that was a good thing, and it put me on the map, but I wanted to convert the masses. So in 2000, I said, I'll never go to another animal rights conference again. And I haven't been since 2000 to an animal rights conference. Now that might change. I put in my good work over the years. I did all those lectures from 2000 to 2015, but that's when I broke away and I said enough of the social gatherings and the get-togethers. End of the day, fine, but I wanted to put in my work. And when people found out I was in their city giving lectures in Orlando and El Paso and rural North Carolina, Halifax Community College, people say, hey, can you come hang out? I'm like, no, no, I'm busy, man. I got 3 lectures today. I got 4 lectures tomorrow. In fact, I'm doing 15 lectures this whole week for about 1,500 students. I'm busy, and when I'm done lecturing, I'm actually going to be tired. I'm going to go back to the hotel and crash and get ready for the next day. So, too many people wanting to hang out without putting in the hard work.
Hey, Gary, what about the meeting from the other meeting? We should have 3 meetings to discuss the meeting. as I heard you say.
I didn't give you my classic line. I was tired. That's all I saw at all these conferences. Let's have a meeting about the conference and the
Yeah.
conference about the meeting, and let's debate the conference that we had at the last meeting, and let's have a meeting about the debate and about the conference. Enough already. If people look at me and say, "Man, how did this guy do all this stuff?" Honestly, I stopped having meetings and discussions and debates with other activists about what should be done. And it wasn't that I didn't analyze what I was doing. I analyzed it after. Because if you analyze before, you never get anything done because it's never going to be perfect. You're going to sit in the boardroom and do another script and rewrite it again. You know what? Not everything that I ever said was great in front of a crowd, but you don't know that. Why? Because I deleted it the next day. If I tried something in one class, I'm like, well, that didn't work. Maybe I should say it like this, or maybe I should do this. I honed my skills live in front of a crowd. I wanted a real reaction, not a boardroom reaction. And I'm always amazed that people think that they know how the public is going to respond because they sat in a boardroom and came up with some theory. You got to test it on the you got to test it on the crowd, on society. And I'm always amazed that a lot of people don't come to me to ask me what works. I'm the one that talked to 60,000 meat, dairy, and egg eaters face to face. I'll tell you what works. I'll tell you what doesn't work. Honestly, and what works, by the way, the truth, the harsh truth, holding people accountable, putting them in the victim's position. What doesn't work? Acting like a politician, being fake, which is all people come up with when they're sitting in the boardroom. Oh, we should say this, and we shouldn't offend them this way. And we should say we're plant-based and we're an animal advocate. Bullshit. I said I was a vegan animal liberation activist in every lecture, and it worked. I told the people, I'm not a politician. I'm not here to collect your emails. I'm not here to collect money for some kind of fun. I'm not here to say what you want me to say. I'm here to say what you need to hear. So the harsh truth works with people, honestly. But enough people don't want to ask because some people don't like my style or don't like something that I said before. You know what? You'll be looking for eternity to find somebody that you agree with 100% of the time. And if
100%.
you tell me you agree with somebody 100% of the time, either you're lying or they're lying. It's impossible. As much as I adore Carmen and she adores me, we don't agree 100% of the time. I'm sure you and Nicole, you can't agree 100% of the time, but that doesn't mean you discard somebody. So I don't know for the people that hate me out there why they just can't say, well, I really don't care for Gary's position on human rights anymore, but man, that guy is one hell of an animal rights activist. And it's something that Dr. King used to say about Malcolm X. People used to ask Dr. King all the time, can you please stop Malcolm X? He's too radical. He'd say, don't ask me to stop Malcolm X. Malcolm X will stop when racism stops. Same thing with me. You don't like what Gary says, you want him to stop? Well, then stop exploiting animals. Gary will go away when you guys stop exploiting cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys and fish. When you guys stop torturing mice and monkeys in vivisection experiments. When you stop enslaving elephants in the circus, Gary will go away. That's all people need to say.
So true. Vegans tend to worry about the small details which don't really matter. It's the message and it's speaking out for animals like you would want to be spoken for. And like you said, no one agrees 100% of the time. It's impossible. Like I agree with like 90% of what you say, but that doesn't mean because of the other 10% I don't want to speak to you. I
Right.
don't. It's just ridiculous. Like this cancer culture's just got to stop. And yeah.
It's crazy. And listen, me, I love Paul Bashir. We don't agree 100% of the time. Oh, but who cares? I see Paul as one kick-ass activist. He sees I'm one kick-ass activist. We're going to support each other. Go do and say things how you feel that it needs to be said and do your activism. And we support each other.
Yeah.
Too many people just want to take activists down, and I don't understand it. And listen, I apologize. I put out an Instagram video about a month or two ago where I used to be a horrible infighter. I regret that too so badly. Honestly, it was pointless. It didn't accomplish anything. And mainly because nobody was going to change their style anyway. So I'm screaming at somebody, I don't like the way you do this and say this. Same thing people do with me. I'm not going to change. This is who I am. This is how I operate. So don't we have bigger enemies to go against than somebody in the movement that you don't like, that they said this or they did that? Whatever's going on within the movement, I'm way more upset at hunters. I'm way more pissed off at meat, dairy, and egg eaters. I'm way more angry at matadors. I'm way more angry with everything else that's going on in this world to the animals than what happens with a few activists that I don't care about something they said or did.
100%. Yeah. So do you have any plans for next year? Like any exciting plans you're thinking of doing, any projects or any campaign ideas, or just kind of curious what have you got what installed, for the future?
Again, I don't want to disappoint. I have nothing planned that far ahead, not because I'm not going to do something. I really don't know, Andrew. I don't know what's going on. I know the people at Veg Camp Out, the vegan camp out in London, invited me there, but I have a lifetime ban in place from the UK. So I don't know if that's going to be overturned. I got some lawyers looking into it. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good because oddly enough, for whatever reason, earlier this year, I was bored one day. I was getting high. I was wondering, did Canada still ban me? Is that lifetime ban because of the mink liberation in Blenheim, Ontario? Is that still in effect? Actually called the customs border over here in Windsor, Ontario, and I talked to the guy in charge. I said, "Could you look something up in the computer? Don't freak out. It's gonna sound weird, but here's my name. I did a mink liberation. They banned me for life. Am I in the computer as banned for life, persona non grata?" And he laughed and giggled a little. He goes, "Let me look at it." He goes, "Yep, you are banned for life. Do not try to get through our borders." So I don't know. I don't know if the UK is going to lift that ban. That's a possibility that might happen. But other than that, I have nothing planned. Who knows? Some people in Israel that I met again in Cologne for the AV demos. They invited me to go back to Israel and kind of relive what happened in 2012 and 13, which was the most phenomenal thing that I've ever seen, I've ever been involved in. I said, you know what? I'd be interested, maybe. I said, but I would like Paul Bashir to join me because what's weird is nowadays, if you put me in front of a crowd, I don't know how to start speaking. And it's bizarre because that's all I ever did. Put me in front of a crowd and I'll start speaking. I need to be prompted.
Mm.
So if Paul asks me questions in front of a crowd, kind of like you're asking me right now, you won't shut me up. It'll be like, "Gary, can I get a word in after 10 or 15 minutes?" So I would want, if I was going to do another lecture event, I would need someone on stage to get me going, ask me questions, or tell me, "Hey, tell the crowd about this, tell the crowd about that." So Israel's a possibility, but other than that, right now, the only solid plan that I have is being online and doing videos, which I'm enjoying now, and going on podcasts. Honestly, I'm really enjoying talking with everybody on the podcast.
Yeah, well, keep up the great content. I've been watching every single one, so doing a great job.
And plus, by the way, there's a ton that haven't even been released yet, which is crazy because I've done, I think, 60 already in the last few months. I only think 20 or 30 have been released. A lot of people record stuff and save it for later. And there's going to be a couple fabulous ones coming out soon because Joey Carbstrong interviewed me. He flew to Germany. We did a 3.5 hour interview, and he had me do something. I want to see it myself. So everyone talks about my Georgia Tech speech, best speech ever. I got news for everybody. That's not my best speech ever. That's my second best speech ever. Best speech I ever gave was for the mink liberation trial in Chatham, Ontario, in the courthouse in 1999, 2 years after the actual liberation, when I was being found guilty. I gave a short speech to the judge. Uh, it's on audio. The court has it. The court won't release it. And I've sent news reporters there. I've begged and pleaded. They will not release the audio, only the transcript, the written transcript. So Joey, halfway through the interview, he says, "I want you to do something special for me right now, Gary." Yeah, what? And he takes out his iPad and he hands it to me. He goes, "Can you recite the mink liberation speech right now?" And I said, "Oh my God, I've always wanted to do it again and get it on audio." I went back to the courtroom in that moment. I got to tell you, I think it was almost as powerful. And I say this because when I got finished, Joey and both the camera people were all in tears. So wait till that comes out. It's going to be something special. And there was another, and then Alex and Dennis from Germany interviewed me, and they're holding on to this interview, they said, till next year because they wanted old footage of me from the 90s. And mind you, I'm ancient. I was around before the internet. I was around before cell phones. So my ancient videos are on VHS tapes and Betamax tapes. I did have somebody years ago put it on a hard drive, and they asked me for old footage. I said, I'll tell you what, I have a hard drive of stuff from the 90s. It's crazy. Like local cable channels I used to do interviews on, and I sent it to them, and they are putting it together with some footage that no one has ever seen, and I haven't seen this stuff in more than 25 years myself. So that's going to be something special to see too.
That sounds very exciting. It reminds me when I had like old videotapes as me as a child, and then it got converted into a DVD, which I know is old-fashioned now as well, but it's like amazing to like go back in time and see this footage. So that'll be amazing. Yeah.
I still got DVDs, by the way, and I still have CDs in my car. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not on Spotify. I don't have all that other stuff. I'm a CD guy. I still have some VHS tapes too, but I don't have a VHS tape player anymore.
Yeah, it's hard
But
to
in
get a
my
videotape
closet, I
player
got
anymore. It's like an antique now. So, sorry to switch like the mood a bit because one of the questions is quite a bit of a tricky question, but so you said in the past you've been inside slaughterhouses. Could you like share your experience of what it was like to bear witness to, I think it was pigs, you said. Did they have what impact it had on you? Did you like have any mental health issues after seeing it or any PTSD as a result?
I have PTSD. That was part of the reason that I retired as well. Now, a lot of it is from the slaughterhouse stuff that I saw, that I was an eyewitness to. A lot of it was just watching all the footage. Keep in mind, I showed a slaughterhouse video during every lecture. So I had to watch that fucking video 2,660 times. I wasn't going to walk out of the classroom and make the students watch it, make them think like, oh, I'm tormenting them. So I've seen so much, but man, that the first time I went to a slaughterhouse in the 90s was the Thornapple Valley Pig Slaughterhouse, Eastern Market area of Detroit. I actually went there for 6 weeks straight, and I was still a meat eater. I was as stubborn as they come. And I looked at the pigs in the trucks waiting to be called in. I looked into their eyes every day. Seeds were being planted. I knew it was wrong. Tears were rolling down my face. A couple days, I got to sneak around and get into enough of the area where where they were forcing the pigs to walk down the chute to the slaughterhouse floor. I saw them being hung up. I heard their screams. I smelled death and fear. I went to an auction house in Manchester, Michigan, about 20 minutes away from Sasha Farm. Now, this place is open to the public. That was the last place I ever went to, and that fucked me up the worst, Andrew. It was the first time I went to all these places, and I had been to more than a dozen slaughterhouses. I've been inside of vivisection labs. I broke into the University of Michigan monkey laboratory. I was unsuccessful at liberating animals that night, but I tried to get in there. I went behind the scenes of every circus that ever came through Michigan. I got footage. Rodeos that came through Michigan. I went behind the scenes. I saw all the torture firsthand because I wanted to know how accurate it was from the videos that I was seeing from PETA and from the other groups. And it was accurate. It's actually worse
Yeah.
in person. You don't smell death and fear when you're watching a video. When you're there, you smell it. And that has a horrible effect. But that last experience in Manchester, these animals turned in horror to me. It was shaking and shivering, and every other place I went to, I was able to somehow communicate to them, I'm here to get footage. I'm going to show everybody your plight. Sorry, I can't take you. I'm so sorry, I can't. I have to get footage. And they understood. There was an understanding. That day, there was no understanding. They were horrified. And this is why I was and am so militant. I don't want to be a two-legged devil to animals. You don't. Vegans don't. That's why we choose this lifestyle. Sometimes animals are so tormented, they can no longer differentiate good from the bad. They have better senses than we have, and they usually know this stuff. They didn't know that day, and they turned in horror, and it was as if they were saying to me, "Leave me alone. What are you going to do to me now? Just get away from me, please. Where are you taking me now? Who's you know what body part are you cutting off of me today? Which friend are you stealing from me today?" And it broke me down, man. I don't even like reliving it. It's something I got to be honest, and it's not the right way to deal with it. I push it out of my mind.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll tell you what else might be a little bizarre. Maybe it's not, but there are certain songs. So when I was doing slaughterhouse videos, I would put a song over it.
Mm.
There are songs I can no longer listen to. The
Yeah.
Georgia Tech speech, I used a Queen song, Under Pressure. I can't listen to the song ever again. I think it was the greatest rock and roll song ever. The lyrics I thought were fit perfectly. As soon as that comes on the radio, the first 3 seconds, I'm reaching for the
Mm.
radio station. I'm like, because I know the whole Slaughterhouse video. I can't hear the song anymore. I once used a Jody Messina country song called "Even God Gets the Blues." It's one of the most beautiful songs ever written, but I used it for a Slaughterhouse video. I can't listen to that anymore. There's several others. I did a lot of videos over the years, so there's about 10 songs I can't hear anymore. The stuff is etched on my mind. The mink liberation, I was there. I saw the animals. Now, conversely, those two cows and those two sheep that turned in horror to me at the auction house when I was liberating the mink and opening up cage after cage. That was my job that night. I was the cage opener. I was told in advance by a close dear friend of mine, Gary, be careful, they might attack you. They might attack you. They're carnivores. And I remember telling my friend Marie, I said, no, no, no. I said, they're going to know why I'm there. I'm not wearing any extra protective clothing. She recommended some bigger gloves. I said, no way. And halfway through that liberation, I opened up a cage. A mink dove out, landed on my chest. I leaned back like this. She was on her hind legs. And when I looked up after a second or two, she was giving me that classic animal thing when she was turning her head. It's how animals check you out. It's a tell. They're looking, and I swear she said, "Oops, I thought you were the mink murderer. You're the other guy." And she dove off my chest, and I went like this. I knew it. I knew it. I knew she was gonna know that I was the good guy. And I had hundreds of mink running around me that night. No one was looking to attack me. They were looking for the way out. And I can remember saying, go, go, come on, guys, go, go, make a break for it. Uh, Unfortunately, 1,000 mink that night never made it off the grounds, but 540 did escape that night, found holes in the perimeter fence. So, man, I witnessed a lot of cruelty, face to face, exploitation, face to face. Yeah, it's fucked me up, man. Yeah, I got PTSD. It's why I turned to marijuana so often. Now, I've been smoking since I was 12 years old. I've loved it for a long time, but during these 10 years of retirement, it really helped me. It was the only thing that allowed me to not think about the torment anymore. And it's not that I didn't feel guilty. I don't want to be one of those people out of sight, out of mind, but I thought I could get a free pass considering the things that I've done. I'm like, it's not like I didn't put in my work. I sat in the jail cell for 77 days. I did all those lectures. I did all those demos. I'm like, I need a break. I can't think about it anymore. I have to think about my own mental health right now. And I needed that time off. It was 18 years in the trenches, solid in the trenches for me.
Yeah.
So when I hear people say, "Oh, Gary, I understand what you're going through," and I don't doubt that you understand, but when they tell me it's been 3 years and I can't take it anymore, I'm like, "Oh, hold on, hold on. You don't get to retire after 3 years. I'm a fair guy. You put in 18 years like me, and then it's too much. Fine. Come join me. Come smoke a joint all day long, wake and bake, whatever. But you got to put in your time before you bail, before it becomes too much. So man, those slaughterhouses were probably the worst. Um,
Yeah.
I saw,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Thank you.
saw.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I saw so much abuse firsthand,
Mm,
man.
yeah.
And then it was, I'm sorry, and then it was dealing with the people, dealing with society. I had to walk. Here's what added to my PSD too. As successful as my lectures were, they were. It's crazy. You want to talk about a tough social justice movement? I had basically 60 minutes to convince people to be nice to fish and chickens,
Mm,
and I was doing it. I had a clip of 50% success rate. Professors did surveys, minimum 15 to 20% conversions in 60 minutes. But I walked into every classroom. Everybody hated me. I had to win over the 50% or more. I had to win them over. So it's tough to be hated and have to fight out of this hatred abyss to to get people to finally listen. It's taxing. And there's some people in my close to me that never understood what I did. Like, oh, big deal. You went and talked to people. Like, I went and talked to people that hated me, that didn't want to hear what I had to say. And I had to perform for them.
mm,
I had to put on my lecture show today and entertain them, educate them, make them laugh. I used a lot of sarcastic humor. This is taxing and tough. And it wasn't just one lecture a day. Most days were 2, 3, 4, 5 lectures a day, nonstop, 90 minutes, 10-minute break, 90 minutes, 15 minutes break. I'm eating Cliff bars and bananas in between just to, try to keep my energy up. And I was at the gym at 5 in the morning because I had to maintain a good physique because we live in a superficial world where if I didn't look the good part, people weren't going to listen. So, they're like, "Oh, look at this vegan, man. He looks pretty healthy. Oh, this guy looks pretty big." Yes, I'm up in the gym at 5 in the morning. So you guys are going to listen to me more? Like, outrageous. So that added to the PTSD, being hated by everybody, even though half the crowd, most of the time, ended up loving me. It was still taxing, man. I was still in battle every single day. And I heard everyone snickering when I came in the room.
mm,
I should have brought a hamburger in today. Oh, the fucking vegans here today. Oh man, fuck this shit. And I heard it all, but I also am a fair guy. I used to be like that. So I said, "Gary, just you used to be the same way. Just get through it, win them over, teach them." And it was tough, man. It was a tough gig that I chose, but I'm not even sure if I chose it. The
mm,
universe chose it for me. I'm listening. I didn't even plan. Talk about me like early when I said I didn't plan anything. I never planned on lecturing. You know how it happened? I used to get arrested all the time in the 90s. And Canton High School calls me up after one of my arrests and says, "Mr. Yourofsky, you're always going to jail for the animals we see in the newspaper. It's political action day at Canton High School. Would you come and give a lecture and tell everybody why you get arrested for the animals?" Oh, yeah, okay, I got you. So I go in, I had nothing prepared. It was extemporaneous, freestyle. Because I didn't expect anything positive to happen. All I ever heard on the streets when I confronted people was "fuck you, get a life." So when I finished my 60-minute extemporaneous speech, I kind of put my head down, ready for the FUs, and all of a sudden I look up, standing ovation, 800 students. I'm like, what? And it hit me, oh my God, education, go out, teach, give lectures like this, contact the schools, ask if you can speak. And that's where it was born. And by the way, I got a letter a few weeks to a month later from the teachers that organized it. And I still have it in one of my animal rights boxes somewhere. And they said, we did a survey. You converted 100 of the 800 students. That's a hell of a ratio for an Next Step Radius first time lecture. I'm like, what? 100? And in fact, I remember I knew it was positive, not only from the standing ovation. There were about 45 or 50 students that kept me after school that day for 4 or 5 hours asking more questions. In fact, I had to end it. I think it was 8 or 8:30 at night. And I kind of looked down at my watch. I said, I have a dog at home. I have to go home and let my dog out. I can't stay any longer. I would stay all night, but I got to get home. And it just, that's when that education seed was planted.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that experience about going to the slaughterhouses. I know it's not easy to discuss, but I think it's important that people realize like what you actually did. Not only were you doing the lectures, but you were going, in the trenches, you were seeing the animals suffer. And I've done hundreds of, slaughterhouse events as well, and it does grind you down. And I did get PTSD as well after going inside the slaughterhouse and seeing pigs be killed. Like I started having panic attacks, and so it's something that vegans don't tend to talk about. It's like, oh, we just carry on and not worry about it, but we need to take care of our mental health for us to carry on
It's
long term.
true.
So,
It's true. And by the way, I mean, since we got some people listening, of course, everybody needs to know how horrible coming off the truck and being put onto the killing floor is. I saw it at Easter Market. The pigs did not want to come off the truck. They're not stupid. And I'm tired of people saying animals are stupid. Humans are fucking stupid. Humans are fucking blind. Humans think they know everything. They don't know shit. Animals are aware, cognizant beings. They don't. Who wants to walk to their own demise? Are you kidding me? So they go on the trucks with these rods, these pokers. They force them to walk down, electric prods. I saw them shove the pokers in their eyes to make them walk down. And if you have no choice at that point, I know why they're walking down, but that's against their will. They're being forced. So people need to think about not just being hung upside down and having your head chopped off, which is evil enough. It's how about how the transportation process being put in that truck. They're not stupid. They see all the trucks. By the way, I've had to rescue animals, big cows for Sasha Farm. You know how hard it is to get them on the truck? They're not stupid. They know those trucks.
mm,
You don't come back alive when you get on those trucks. Their friends get on those trucks. They don't come back alive. We had to pull them and force them on these trucks and beg them, I promise you're going someplace nice. I promise, please. And they were freaked out until we got to Sasha. Let them off and they had a big field. Like, okay, but that all the horrible things before they get to the slaughterhouse floor. In fact, nowadays, Andrew, I'm kind of convinced the slaughterhouse is probably the fifth worst thing that happens to animals.
mm,
Baby stealing, I think, is the worst. I was at a dairy farm or two and I witnessed them stealing the calves from the mothers. The screams that I heard were horrifying. Those pig screams, and pigs have a horrible scream when they're frightened.
mm,
At the slaughterhouses, it's horrifying. The mutilation is worse than the slaughterhouse, fully conscious, searing off the beaks of hens or ripping out the testicles of baby pigs or cutting the tails off. I mean, all the mutilations that take place, being confined without sunlight. I mean, there are so many other horrible things, rapes, the electroejaculations before they get to the slaughterhouse that people aren't processing properly. It's not just slaughterhouse. And then there's that stupid shit going about that there's a humane slaughterhouse. There's a humane way to slice somebody's head off? What? A humane way to enslave and exploit somebody else? A humane way to mutilate somebody? A humane way to steal their babies? Are you fucking out of your mind? What is wrong? I don't understand the stupidity and the cognitive dissonance that humans have. We're automatons. We've been programmed. We've been brainwashed. With this being said, this is why I wanted to go out and do my lecture tour, because humans were acting so stupidly about proper relationships between humans and animals. And happy to say again, I was successful in so many ways of reaching people and helping people see the light and understand proper treatment and understand that animals don't belong to us. They're not commodities. They're not property. They're not food. They're not sandwiches. They're not shoes. They're not clothing. They're not research specimens, and they're not entertainment. So we need to go out there. We need to continue as vegans, and we need to continue to enlighten people.
100%. Slaughterhouses are definitely not humane. You don't take your dog to a slaughterhouse to be put to sleep. People that go to Switzerland to have themselves, put to sleep as well. People with serious health issues don't go to a slaughterhouse. So that's like going to hell. So yeah.
And I used to say that, and there are a lot of my Q&A sessions, is that if you really think there's a nice way, that there's a nice slaughterhouse, when the horrible time comes, and if your dog or cat is sick and has to be euthanized at that point, take them to the local slaughterhouse. No, you're going to take them to a veterinarian. You might even pay a veterinarian to come to your house so he's comfortable in his or her own house, in your arms, holding them as it happens. You would never send them to these horrible places, hang them upside down, or put them in a gas chamber, which is now becoming the standard method of death for at least chickens and pigs around the world. I mean, for anybody who could possibly think that a slaughterhouse, a house of slaughter, could be humane.
Mm.
I mean, the cognitive dissonance is so great. It's kind of hard to explain sometimes. I don't understand why people would believe that nonsense.
Yeah, it seems like society's not learned its lessons of the past. We know the Holocaust, and we literally put the animals through a Holocaust every day. So yeah, it's crazy.
And if classic line that I used to say, man, if you went to Auschwitz and took out the Jews and put cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys inside, you'd still have a Holocaust taking place. But no one's up in arms about that. But all of a sudden, put human beings back in these gas chambers and these concentration camps, and everyone's up in arms. So, is the concentration camp or the slaughterhouse a problem? Or is it who's getting killed in the concentration camp and the slaughterhouse? And to me, I don't care who's getting killed in these places. It's the fact that these places exist, that there's another group running around thinking that they have a right to do this to another group of beings, especially animals, the most innocent beings on this planet who have never done anything to us. And the least we can do is return the favor. I don't understand the hatred that we have for cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys and goats and sheep. What in the world have these animals ever done to us to deserve the wrath and the violence and the evil that we hurl on them? The least you can do is return the favor. Golden rule, do unto others.
100%. Going back to Sasha Farm, which you mentioned before, why do you think it's important for people to support sanctuaries like Sasha Farm?
And it is essential because if we're going to go out there as vegans and preach to people and demand that they stop exploiting animals, many animals are going to be liberated from places of torture and they're going to need a place to stay. Sanctuaries are the only places where these animals can go to. So there's this stupid notion been floating around for 20 years. I got to tell people, I know the person 20 years ago who kind of started people onto this stupid path of effective altruism. He started telling people that it was a waste of money to give money to a sanctuary. It's not money well spent. Go tell the cows and the pigs and the chickens it's not money well spent. Are you kidding me? We can't come up with money to take care of a cow for 20 years, a chicken for 10 years, a pig for 10 years, after all the horror that we've put them through? And if you go back, I mean, trillions of animals for thousands of years have been have been tormented and enslaved and mass murdered, and all of a sudden there's vegans out there saying it's not money well spent. We should put it all into education. Well, yeah, education's important. It doesn't mean you avoid and forget about the other avenues, the other forms of activism in this wheel, all the spokes that need to be out there. Sanctuaries are a spoke. Sanctuaries are a section of that pie that we need to support. So right now, animals that are at sanctuaries, they only have vegans to rely upon. It's on us. Now, I think the meat, dairy, and egg eaters of the world should be taxed and should be forced to take care of sanctuaries, but that's not reality. That's a fantasy of mine.
Mm.
Right now, it's up to the vegans. So, for all the vegans out there, you need to tie the money to the sanctuaries. Fuck the church. Fuck the synagogue and fuck the mosque. Stop giving money to religion. Tithe your money to the sanctuaries. And if Sasha Farm is not close to you, you got one that's near and dear to you in your city, fine. I don't care if it's not Sasha Farm. I want to help all the sanctuaries. Yes, Sasha Farm is close to me. That's why I'm speaking out for them. I've been going there for 30 years. But sanctuaries around the world are struggling now because a bunch of idiots in this movement are claiming that it's not effective altruism to help sanctuaries out. By the way, this belief, there's nothing effective about it, and there's nothing altruistic about it. It is completely ineffective and unaltruistic to not support sanctuaries. These are places where animals can finally be themselves. No one's being branded, no one's being tagged. They can do what they want to do, they can hang out with their friends. They can be themselves for the first time. So it's important that we keep these sanctuaries alive. And Sasha Farm needs help. Freedom Farm Sanctuary in Israel needs help. La Guerie Sanctuary in France needs help. Little Bear Sanctuary in Florida needs help. There's so many sanctuaries around the world that are struggling right now. And vegans, you need to help out. And by the way, I understand money can be tight. Let's say money is too tight and you got nothing to give. You're just trying to take care of yourself. Okay, you got some time. I'll come up with a solution. Go to your local sanctuary 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a week. Go there on a Saturday or a Sunday and help out because they need help too. They need help taking care of the animals, feeding the animals, watering the animals, cleaning up the poop, fixing up some of the fences, whatever it is, repainting the barn. There's always things that need to be done. So if you can't tithe any money over there, you can donate some time. So please check out sashafarm.org and obviously help out your local sanctuary too and all the sanctuaries around the world. I also find it weird that so many vegans have never been to a sanctuary, never been close to a cow, a pig, a chicken, a turkey, which is weird. So you should go there to see the animals and meet the animals you're actually saving. Because it's so amazing to befriend these creatures and realize they're individuals,
Mm.
just like the other animals in your life, the dogs and the cats that you know. And they're the same. They're the same type of beings. They want love. They like their bellies rubbed, just like the dogs and the cats. They really do. Although cats sometimes tease you about that belly rub. Every time I meet a cat, the cat rolls on his back. I'm like, oh, and I go for the belly rub, and then I'm like, oh man, they do me every time. It's like this long running trick, like when you go up to somebody, oh, there's something over here, and they look down, boom.
Yeah.
Like every time the cat gets me. But anyways, and these animals love belly. Pigs love
Oh, yeah.
belly rubs. And cows are some of the coolest. Big cows, I think, are now my favorite animal. And they are just these massive, gentle giants. They really are. And even if they don't care for human attention, some of them don't. Just like some dogs and some cats really don't either. Uh, they're still gentle giants because they're just going to walk away from you,
So
or
true.
they're just going to give you a warning. They're just going to flick their head. You learn, you know what? It's always saddened me, Andrew, that I'm not smart enough to speak animal languages. Animals have languages. For anybody out there who thinks they don't communicate, are you fucking kidding me? We're just too stupid to speak cow and understand cow. Too stupid to understand pig and speak pig. But if you pay attention to body movements, body English, you can see. So cow starts going like this to you. That means, you know what? Back off. Cow gives you a little leg paw, scrape to the ground. Back off. But if he doesn't, hey, come on up, grab him, give him a hug, pet their snout, give them a kiss on their nose. They're wonderful beings. So I'm going to encourage the vegans to get out to the sanctuaries just so you can meet the animals you're always talking about. And people are so disconnected. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again because it's important and it's really poignant. I used to bring a lot of meat, dairy, and egg eaters to Sasha Farm over the years. I wanted my acquaintances, my meat, dairy, and egg eating acquaintances from the gym. I said, you guys got to come out and see these animals you're always making fun of. And I'd make them walk up to the pig. You go up to that pig and you pet that pig. You tell him his life doesn't matter. And all these so-called tough guys, all of a sudden, oh man, what? No, don't look at me. Don't apologize to me. Be sad, and you look at him. That's who you're exploiting. That's who you're harming. I brought somebody up there one day, though. His first words after being there, walking him around for about 30 minutes, he was in awe. He said to me, I can't believe the noises that they make. They really make those noises? I thought that was only in cartoons. This is how disconnected people are from the animal kingdom. He didn't think a cow really mooed. He didn't think a rooster really crowed. He thought it was only in cartoons. And something else, it leads me to something else that just popped in my mind. I had a lot of students over the years during Q&A. They would always want to tell me that animals are this or animals are that, animals are stupid or what. I said, wait a second, animals are stupid. They would tell me chickens are stupid. I said, okay, I'm curious. How many chickens do you know? They go silent. Well, I'd stop an argument in a second. I win debates in seconds. How many chickens do you know for you to make that statement? Zero or zero? You go, yes. Oh, so you're making judgments? You're passing judgments on beings that you've never even met before? You want to talk about prejudice? You want to know why I said during the speech this is the worst form of discrimination that's ever existed? Got everyone out there passing judgments on cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys, and you never even met one. The only time you meet them is when they're cut up and killed on your dinner plate. This species of racism, by the way, you want to talk about real racism? The human race versus the animal race? This is the worst form of racism that has ever existed. People are so disconnected. And I get that it's set up. Okay, I was guilty too. You know, religion tells you animals don't matter. Government tells you animals don't matter. You turn on the TV, animals don't matter. Constant jokes about animals, eating animals, wearing animals. All the commercials out there, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, cartoon caricatures of animals in all their advertisements. They don't show you slaughterhouses. They don't show you babies being stolen. They don't show you electroejaculation. They don't show you female animals being raped. Everything is just a made up cartoon caricature about what happens to animals. Our parents are guilty too. Now I get why our parents lie to us. They were lied to by their parents. You know, that cycle of violence, those cycle of lies, that's been going on for thousands of years. But when somebody informs you about the truth, you're supposed to embrace it, not fight it. And fortunately, 50% usually embraced it after I was done, but that left 50% that kept their blinders on, that wanted to be automatons, that wanted to be programmed. What's that story though? Isn't it Plato's cave, that the cave allegory? This was thousands of years ago. He talked about that there were beings and humans in a cave, right, chained up, looking at a stone wall, watching a projection of the world. And somebody comes up behind and says, "Hey, the real world is over here. Just turn around. Man, come out here. Get out of the cave." And they're like, "No, this is the real world. This is what meat, dairy, and egg eaters are involved in. No, animals are happy being food. Animals are happy being on the menu. Cows are happy being briefcases and steaks and sandwiches and shoes. And vegans are going, oh, wait a second. No, these are individuals. They're sentient beings. They're not commodities. They deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness just like you. They deserve to be free. Why should anybody, by the way, why should any being have to fight for their right to be free? So many obscene things about what we do to animals. It's amazing that, and I figured out why it takes so long to liberate animals. Andrew, do you realize that as vegans, we have to beg the exploiters not to exploit? We have to beg the abusers not to abuse. This is why it's taking so long. If I had to convince you and ask you to liberate animals, it would take about 2 seconds. But I got to go to the meat eaters. I got to go to Ted Nugent. All right, I got to ask Joe Rogan. We got to ask Piers Morgan to stop harming. This is why it takes so long. And this is true for all social justice movements. I mean, in America, I often question the crowd in Q&A. I said, can somebody tell me why it took 400 years for white people in America to liberate blacks from slavery and segregation? How was this not a 5-second discussion 400 years ago when the first black person said, "Hey, what are you doing to me? God, what are you just stole my baby, you raped my wife, you're forcing me to work. What are you doing?" Same thing, because black people had to go to the white oppressor and say, "Can you stop oppressing me?" When you got to go to the oppressor to ask for your freedom, there's a long struggle, a long battle, and it usually starts this way: no. Then you beg some more. No. And you beg for dozens and hundreds of years. Please, can you liberate us? Can you stop doing this? And then it's maybe we'll think about it. And then you're begging more for another 100 years, dozens of more years. And they're going, well, no, okay, I guess we'll let some be in. I mean, look, are you? I don't understand why any human wants that power either. Why does anybody want to oppress somebody else and exploit somebody else and harm somebody else? I don't want to. Funny because people doubt Gary wants to rule the world. What you know what? Yeah, I want to be a compassionate dictator. I want to rule the world so there's no more rulers. There's nobody else in charge of somebody else. My one mandate: compassion for everybody. That's it. Can everybody just be nice to each other,
Whoa, Gary,
including nice to the earth?
that sounds too extreme. It sounds difficult.
Crazy, right? Crazy notion about it.
Yeah. It kind of breaks your heart, like with the slavery aspect. If white people didn't get involved to help stop slavery, it would have never stopped. Because, if we were just listening to black people, we would just carried on oppressing. So it's just,
So that's also something strange too. I had to point out too, as and listen, the black civil rights activists, the black activists throughout history. This is my inspiration. You probably heard me talk about Malcolm X, but the Black Panthers and Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, and there's all these one Rosa Parks. That man, their activism was grand, but it was still the white people that had to finally agree to end the oppression. So, as wonderful as they were being activists, they didn't liberate black people. White people had to liberate black people. The white oppressor had to finally say, okay, all right, we're done. You guys can come into the circle. And this is what's going to happen with the meat, dairy, and egg eaters. It's not going to be Gary Yourofsky and Paul Bashir and vegan gains. It's not going to be Joey Carbstrong. It's not going to be Rafaela. It's Jamie. It's not going to be these people. It's going to be the meat, dairy, and egg eaters to say, okay, we're not gonna rape animals anymore. We're not gonna steal their babies. We're finally done oppressing you.
yeah. So got a bit of an interesting question for you. So, how do you feel about tribes and indigenous communities that still kill and use animals? And while our main focus is, the mainstream society, do you think it's important to encourage them to go vegan when the time is right for it? What do you think?
Absolutely. No one has an excuse. There is no cultural excuse to be exploiting animals and chopping their heads off and thinking that they belong to you. It's a nonsensical argument. I don't know why people in this movement have come up with it. Well, we'll just let the Inuits do what they want to do, or the Macaw tribe. No, that stuff is just as evil. And if those people, by the way, were raping children as part of their culture, would anybody say, oh, well, just let them do that? No, it's not okay. When people only say this because they hate animals because they don't care about animals. If they were doing that to other human beings, they say, whoa, wait a second, you guys got to stop that horrible behavior. But as you said, I'm more concerned right now with the masses. This is also why I focus on veganism more than I focus on zoos or vivisection. To me, my research shows that 98% of animals on this planet who are exploited, who are raped, tormented, and murdered are being exploited by the meat, dairy, and egg industries. This is where the massive amount of abuse is taking place. When I first started my activism, I focused on circuses until somebody actually pulled me aside and said, Gary, there's only a couple thousand animals in the circus worldwide who are enslaved. You spend a lot of time. What about the 40 billion chickens on this planet that are being exploited and killed every year intentionally? So, oh man, you're right. I'm focusing on the wrong thing. So, my focus right now isn't the macaw and it isn't the Inuits. We'll get to them. They will be held accountable, but I want to get to the masses first, and then we move on and enlighten them too, and explain to them. And there's this nonsensical stuff too that oh they're one with nature while they're doing this, while they're saying a prayer over the animal they kill. Saying a prayer over somebody that you've just murdered doesn't make you close to God and close to nature. It makes you a fucking psychopath. And I will throw this out there too, because hunters love to come up to me over the years and say, and they would even say, I agree with you. Man, factory farms, that stuff's horrible. You're right. What they do to cows and pigs, that's why I go kill deer. That's why I kill ducks and pheasants. Isn't that okay? Isn't that better? So wait a second. You guys wanna use that as an excuse because you kill directly? In my eyes, it makes you more of a psychopath. I know why everyone else is doing it because they don't have to kill. When I was a meat eater, if you put a gun in my hand or a knife in my hand and said, go kill that cow, I said, you must be fucking crazy. Not a chance in the world. But I go to the grocery store and it's all wrapped in a pretty package for me. Okay, well now I can eat meat. So for the hunters, of the world who are making this excuse, well, I'd kill directly. Like the Inuits are also no, that makes you something's wrong if you can kill somebody else in a non-self-defense scenario. I will excuse, of course, self-defense, but this isn't self-defense. This is gluttony.
Mm.
This is speciesism. This is selfishness. There is no justification for anybody. And if you're living in an area where you want to claim where there's no vegetation, I'm sorry, man. Move.
Evolve, move.
Get the fuck out of that area then. Stop staying there and living in this horrible place. And don't tell me it's your home and all this shit. If your only excuse is, well, I'm going to murder these innocent beings because this is where I'm living, then I'm sorry. You need to pack up and move. Move to a warmer location.
Yeah, that's what we did as a species. We moved to places where we can prosper. We didn't stay in the same place. So it's just a bit of a stupid argument. So if we
And
were,
by the way, I was watching you just made me think of something though, real quick, Andrew. I was watching one of those nature shows. They're hard to watch these days because it's all just violent porn. It's about animals killing other animals. But I was watching a show, I want to say it was the planet one. God, I can't remember the name. But anyways, uh it was some species of elk. And they sent a drone out there. With drones nowadays, we're starting to see more places on the planet that we never saw. And they sent this drone in this, it was one of the coldest places anywhere. And they found 100 or 200 of these elk creatures living there. And the host, to me, didn't explain why they were there. Like, oh my God, we thought these animals were extinct and look where they're living. To me, this is where they realized they had to go to survive.
Mhm.
Where can we go on this planet where these two-legged devils won't come and kill us anymore? And they had to go, this place was like 100 degrees below zero, and they still found a way to survive. But to me, they found that place to get away from us. And that's heartbreaking to me that animals view us as two-legged devils, that they would do anything. I mean, you know how hard it is to get a wild animal to come up to you.
Mm.
They see. What do you mean? They know what happens when two-legged creatures come around. Nearly all the time, somebody dies or somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
So why would they come up to us? And people say, oh, that animal's stupid. He won't even come up to me. Why would he come up to you? Every time you guys go up to them, somebody gets hurt. But it's just it's heartbreaking to me how the animals view us.
Yeah, that's so true. It reminds me, I rescued a dog recently, and she used to be beaten by someone, and she was terrified of me. But now, a few months later, she's like, very sweet and friendly, lets me stroke her. But for a long time, I just walked towards her and she would run off. It was like heartbreaking. So yeah,
I've had those moments too with the abused dogs and cats, and it takes months to win their trust over. And this happens at Sasha Farm when we rescue animals. Some of the cows it took to Jefferson, and Daisy. It took, I think it took 2 years for Daisy to start coming up to people. She was rescued after a slaughterhouse truck from a dairy farm got into a car accident in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The truck flips over. 3 of the animals survived. The rest of them died in the crash. 3 of them run into the woods. The police called us after a month or so because a local guy said, I think one of the cows is out back in my property. Can you come get them? And we actually built a 600-foot fence around her because we had to find a way to get her into the trailer, and we rescued her. It took days, and she was not happy. And of course, she wasn't. She was at 7 years of being raped and having her baby stolen from a dairy farm. This is what happens on dairies. And then they're sent to the hamburger factory, the slaughterhouse, to be turned into hamburgers. So when we finally got her on this truck, I've never seen one of the trailers that we put cows and horses in almost being broken. She kicked it so hard it was dented outward. We thought she was going to kick her way through it. We get her back, and by the way, here's why she was extra angry. We get her back to Sasha, and we're trying like, baby, you're okay now. I understand everything you've been through. You're okay. But again, she sees two-legged devil. You tormented me for 7 years. We just kept saying, trust me, you're going to realize very soon you're going to be okay. Well, we found out weeks later she was pregnant. And when she finally had her baby, we wanted to check her out. We had a veterinarian that helps out. We want to make sure they're healthy. You couldn't get close. And I told everyone, back off. She's had 7 babies stolen. Just keep telling her like I did that day. You get to keep your baby. And we had tears in our eyes. You get to keep your baby this time. She's yours. She's yours, okay? We all we wanted to do was check her out, make sure she was healthy. But you know what? Because she stood in front of that baby, and okay, I said, everybody, just let the baby's fine. Nature knows best. I'm sure she's okay. And we're just being concerned too much about should we check her out? She'll be fine. And but it took 2 years for her to come around and finally take an apple from somebody's hand and finally get up and get a quick pet. But she witnessed, she saw the other cows there being happy, being taken care of.
yeah,
But man, when they're coming from an abusive situation, it's not only heartbreaking, but it's you have to take your time to win their trust and let them know everything's going to be okay from here on out.
100%. If we were ever to achieve a fully vegan world, or if the world was just automatically vegan that you were born into, what career or job would you have liked to have pursued if you weren't doing what you're doing now?
I've never been asked that question. Well, first of all, I would love for that to happen because I'm tired. I'm tired of preaching at times. I'm tired of being hated. I'm tired of arguing. I would really love for that day to happen.
Me
What
too.
would I do? I don't know. Before I got into this, I wanted to be a rapper. You probably went online at some point, saw in 1992, I did a rap demo. If you punch my name in on YouTube and put in the Declaration of Misrepresentation, it's one of the raps I did. In fact, the people that did Eminem, their his his music first, the Funky Bass Team. They did mine, and they were deciding which white Detroit rapper to go with in the early '90s. They made the right choice. They chose Eminem. My stuff wasn't bad though. I don't know. Maybe I want to be a rapper again. I don't know. When I was young, I wanted to be a rock and roll guitarist too. I played guitar for 18 years, although I haven't played for at least 18 years now. Wow, I don't know. You know what? Can I say nothing? Maybe I want to do nothing again. I
Just,
want to be
just relax.
retired again. I just want to go to the gym and work out like I do every morning. I want to come home, just relax all day long. I want to watch Sports Center. Want to hang out at Sasha Farm still. I don't know, man. That's such a good
Okay.
question. You know what? Maybe come up with here's something else that a lot of people don't know. So I also came out of retirement because I had a business idea.
Mm.
Now, I'm a horrible business person. I'm an activist, straight up through and through. I have no idea how business works. I've always wanted to do a brand of tofu called Gary Tofu. It was kind of a nickname of mine. Yeah, I love tofu. So I did run into a company who might want to produce this. We're in talks. They've now the only thing is this: after 29 years of veganism, I am completely anti-fat. I think I told you that during our discussions before. So I said if we do a brand of tofu, it's got to be virtually fat free.
Mm.
And in 2 weeks, they already developed one. They said that it has less than 1% fat. I said, okay, I can deal with that. So we're just working on distribution. Maybe I want to be a business person, come out with a Gary Tofu line of vegan products,
That'd be amazing. I've actually got
stuff
an
like that.
idea. I've got an idea for you. So if you manage to come to the UK and go to camp out, you should do like a rap on stage. You should restart your rap career, I think. I
You
think
know
what
what?
you,
I have dropped a few lines on some podcasts here and there.
you should do it. Earthling, I think Earthling Ed did like a DJ set, and yeah, it'd be really cool. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah,
That's funny, man. I don't know. We'll see.
like I say,
Maybe.
it'd be nothing for you. It'd be easy, easy peasy. So all good. Another question, a bit random, but I'm just wondering, do you like believe in God, or do you have any thoughts about what you think happens when we die? Have you ever thought about that, like deeply? Or
I think about it all the time, man. I don't know, but whatever the afterworld is like, it better be filled with animals. If it's filled with humans, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. There better be a whole city of giraffes, a whole city of sloths. There better be thousands of capybaras and bunny rabbits walking around. It's got to be this beautiful paradise where everybody is treated equally and fairly, and everybody loves each other. I do believe in God. I do not believe in any organized religious God. I think it's nonsense that people think there's an invisible man living in the sky. George Carlin is one of my other heroes who talked about this and mentioned that he became a sun worshiper overnight. Well, not overnight because you can't see the sun at night, but first thing the next morning, he became a sun worshiper. And to me, the sun would be more along the lines of what I would think God is. And it's because the sun gives us everything that we need. Without the sun, there is no life. And to me, it would be just like human beings to ignore the sun that comes up every single day in the sky and sits in the sky for half the day, and everybody ignores it, goes, no, that's not God. It's some other thing in the sky that nobody can see. So the God I believe in, again, it's not a Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist type of God. I think it's nonsense, and I think organized religion is complete nonsense. And I wouldn't say this if religious people were good people. Honestly, I would let them off the hook. But all religious people do is engage in rituals,
hmm, yeah,
grow long beards, wear a big hat, pray 12, 14, 18 hours a day, go to a big building on the weekend and sing songs to the sky and dip little babies in water and sexually mutilate little baby boys' penises. All these ritualistic practices are nonsense. I used to have students a lot after my lecture. People that I reach would say, Gary, man, I wish you'd go out and convert people to Jesus. Man, you should speak for Jesus. And I'd say, okay, I will if you can tell me how that makes the world a better place. And they'd say, well, what do you mean? I found Jesus and I am so happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I said, oh, yeah, your world is happy. Listen to what I'm saying. How does this make the world a better place? If getting people to find Jesus made them good people and not harm animals and each other, I would do that. But that's not what does it. That doesn't make people good. It just, and the only thing it does is make that person happy. I'm not looking to make individuals happy.
Yeah.
I'm looking to make the animals happy. I'm looking to make the earth happy. So there's no, the organized religion has to fall by the wayside. It's just destructive. And it's sad because there are good things in all religious teachings. The golden rule is in every single religion in one way or another.
Mm.
Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Thou shalt not kill in one way or another is in every single religion, but all people do is make excuses. Oh, that's just for humans, and that doesn't include animals. Keep in mind, there's the same people that have excluded other humans from thou shalt not kill since the beginning of time. As George Carlin once said, more people have been killed in the name of God than any other reason. You could add animals to that list too. More animals have been killed in the name of God than any other reason that has ever existed. So organized religion has a lot of growing up to do. They're still living in the dark ages. They truly are. And if people want to see something, one of my favorite moments, if you go online, go to YouTube, put in Gary Yourofsky talks about God and Israel. It's one of my favorite clips because now the first minute and a half was stuff I would normally say, and then the last 2 minutes was a freestyle because they had taken me when I was in Israel. They had taken me to the Wailing Wall area in Jerusalem,
Mm.
and I only lasted a couple minutes. I told everyone, "Get me the hell out of here right now. I'm about unless you want me to explode in front of everybody. I don't want to see anymore." Well, what I saw was people praying to a fucking wall. I'm standing in front of a wall davening. This is what Jews do. And I'm Jewish, I can say this stuff, okay? Fucking idiots. Absolutely outrageous stuff. Praying to a wall. You're killing and tormenting animals. And the seed was planted that day. So that night, when I was doing this huge event, I was asked about God, and I went off and came up with one of my best freestyles. I said, how come people worship everything that humans created in God's name, but kill everything that God created? And it's this psychotic notion that humans have created, right? It's like everything God created, the air we polluted, the water we polluted, the forest we cut it down, his animals, we torment them, we rape them, we steal their babies. But the Bible, God forbid, a Bible falls on the ground, boy, people pick it up and kiss it. Somebody burns a Bible, holy shit, you better run for your life. They're going to kill you. Burn a Koran for crying out loud, you're going to get killed. Say something negative about Muhammad, they're going to kill you. But kill animals? Oh, that's fine. Cut their heads off, steal their babies, rape them. All of a sudden, everything that God created, humans shit on. But everything humans created in God's name, we consider to be holy. So I had this wonderful moment where it just poured out of me. And I don't know where it comes from either. Someone on a recent podcast asked, where does it come from? I don't know. I don't know if there's another force that's feeding me stuff. Because most of the time, even when I go into a freestyle, and even if I want to, nearly all of the time, I don't know how I'm going to end it.
Yeah.
But there's a voice in me saying, just keep talking, it'll end perfectly. Just keep going, it'll end perfectly. And it always seems to end perfectly with some poignant, powerful um, notion.
Yeah. I think it's because it comes from it comes from your heart. There's no like bullshit. You're not a politician, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's
By
very
the way,
kind.
all the professors, what I loved, the professors, every professor had one common comment about me, and it was, man, you are not a politician. We never met anybody so open and willing and honest to talk about their beliefs. Never in our lives that we've seen some, because I will answer any question. You ask me, no questions are off limits. None. Ask me about violence, I'll give you an answer. You're probably not going to like it. That I think it's justified in certain situations, retaliatory violence. You ask me any question, it is not a politician response. So the professors love that about me, man. Open and honest.
So true. So I don't know if you heard of public figures like Andrew Tate and other influencers like that. So people like him promote like eating meat is like manly, and they have like a lot of influence over like young men. And I'm just wondering what you think vegans should do to combat people like Andrew Tate who, promote eating like steak and making comments like, oh, vegans are just eating the promoting to eat the bugs, and it says stupid shit like that. So I'm just wondering if you have any
Yeah,
opinion.
I actually never heard of the guy, but he sounds pretty typical. He doesn't sound original to me. I've been hearing this stuff for 29 years since I've been vegan, and it's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years, before all this stuff happened. But there's nothing manly about harming animals, about harming somebody that's weaker than you. It's the complete opposite. You're being an absolute fucking sissy. You're being an absolute bully to somebody else. You're taking advantage. That's not what a man does. A man would protect those who are weaker than they are, would take care of somebody who's weaker than they are. And for anybody that thinks you have to be big and strong to eat meat, bullshit. Go look at Patrick Baboumian, the
Hmm.
strong man from Germany. Go look at Avi Laney, the strong man from Israel. There are tons of bodybuilders. Corin Sutton, somebody that I converted to veganism. He's online talking about it all the time. You don't need protein and you don't need meat to get big and build muscles. You need calories.
Yeah.
Excessive calories are what builds muscle. You even go talk to the guys that don't have muscles. Who's the strong man in the Olympics? That the clean and jerk guy. He's from the country of Georgia. His name Lasha Talaziki or something. He eats 10,000 calories a day. It doesn't have to be meat. You can get 10,000 calories from eating bananas.
Hmm.
Bananas are 100 calories. In fact, nowadays I'm doing about 26 to 30 bananas a day because I want to get 3,000 calories. This is why I got these guns. So don't tell me that you got to eat. This is 29 years vegan. This is a 55-year-old man. When I'm walking around the gym and I tell people, they're like, 55? What? Well, try eating a mango once in a while, you dumbass. Stop it. Stop thinking that you have to eat meat to be big and strong. So what I would tell people to combat that is it's the same thing. You still gotta talk about the truth, hold them accountable, explain to them that hey, there's plenty of other sources, lentils, beans. What do you mean? Grains, barley? Bring up the Roman gladiators.
Hmm.
I don't know if people realize this, but the word gladiator translates to barley eater. They've done DNA testing on their bones and found nothing but barley. Dr. John McDougall, vegan doctor, does a lecture about this. Look that up online. You telling me the biggest, baddest dudes, the gladiators, were eating barley? Guess why I started eating barley about 12 years ago when I found out about this. And you know what? Every time I eat barley, I'm like, I know why they ate barley, man. I feel strong. Oh my God, I get why they ate barley. And a cup of barley is about 25 grams of protein. All the grains, millet, brown rice, and farro, they all hover around 25 grams of protein. Beans are around 25 grams of protein per can. There's no shortage of protein, but I do want to. And listen, I don't care if you want to eat plant-based protein. Obviously, I don't care what type of plant-based stuff you want to eat. But Dr. Douglas Graham, the guy that does the 80-10-10 diet, he talks about you only need 10% protein in your diet. You need 80% complex carbohydrates and you need calories.
Hmm.
It's about calories and complex carbohydrates. And this is where my diet has taken me after 29 years. Now I had my fun time throughout these 29 years of all the mock meats that are out there, all the Gardein products and Tofurkey products. All that stuff is great. It was great because it's loaded with fat. Hey, fat tastes great. They put tons of oil in there. Just all the fat stuff. They put all the salt in there. Add some sugar. Listen, you put fat, salt, and sugar on anything. You could put it on an old shoe, and people would eat and go, you know what? It's not that bad, really. A fat, sugar, and salt tastes good. But nowadays, I like eating clean. It started in 2014 when I found out about the Roman gladiators. So for about 10 years, my diet was pretty much the same. I started every morning with a cup of barley and a half a cup of lentils, or a cup of barley and a can of beans. My lunch was about 10 to 15 pieces of fruit, most of that in a smoothie, but I would eat two or three pieces of fruit, a peach, a plum, nectarine as an appetizer to my smoothie. Dinner was about six or seven vegetables and carrots and broccoli and green beans and mushrooms. And then, oh, a few years ago, one of my favorite products came out. So I talked about the Gary tofu. I know it's possible to make tofu without fat, because my favorite product is a product from Big Mountain. It's tofu that's made from fava beans. 0 grams of fat, zero fat. Does have 64 grams of protein. So I would add that to my dinner as well. But whatever I was eating, it had to be low to no fat. So personally, I don't believe anybody should be consuming more than 20 grams of fat per day. And I even think that's high, but I'm being generous. When I was eating stuff back then for the 10 years, it was about 6 grams of fat per day. For the last few months, I've been really into being a frugivore because I met Dr. Douglas Graham finally for the first time. He's been my favorite doctor since I started. The plant-based news brought us both on the podcast so we can shoot the shit. And I talked about my diet, which the host was like, "Oh my God, that's the cleanest diet I've ever heard of." And Doug comes in, he says, "Gary, you're my favorite activist. Every day I recommend people watch your speech, but I don't like to cook food." He's all the frugivore, which is fruits and vegetables. So after the show, we talked for about 15 minutes too. And I've always wanted to do the 30 bananas a day. And Freely, the banana girl from Australia, dear friend of mine for a long time, she was trying to get me to do this 20 years ago, but I was missing tofu. I'm like, I can't live without tofu. No, no way. But I'm loving. I gained 10 pounds of muscles
Nice.
doing the 26 to 30 bananas a day. And it doesn't have to be just bananas. I'm a simple guy. I like the same stuff all the time. So frugivore means any fruit, any vegetable. So there were a couple of days where I did a smoothie with 20 nectarines. The reason for that is nectarines and peaches are 50 calories. So I wanted 1,000 calories in my smoothie. So I do 20 nectarines or 20 peaches. But Doug talks about you can eat an entire watermelon. Whatever you're doing on frugivore, just make sure you're getting the calorie count that you need, that you want. So I want 3,000 for my workouts, but if you only want 2,000 because you don't work out, well, then just 20 bananas will give you 2,000. 30 bananas gives you 3,000. Whatever it is, figure out the calorie count. But vegetables, very low in calories. You can eat just about as many vegetables as you want. Um, so really, I think people are going to be in for a rude awakening uh, in about 10 years. I'm usually ahead of the game when I talk about animal rights stuff. And I, a lot of my vegan friends over the years have been getting sick. And I've been trying to figure out why. What's the common denominator that vegans still have with meat, dairy, and egg eaters? Now, I'm aware stress, insomnia, chemicals in the environment cause diseases, and it's hard to get away from that stuff too. But to me, it was something more most of the time that we had in common. What were we eating? So of course I went to sugar right away. I'm like, well, I know vegans that don't eat sugar. I know meat, dairy, and egg eaters that don't eat sugar. It's not sugar that we have in common. Salt? Well, no, again, I know both sides that don't eat salt. I'm like, what do we always eat the same no matter what? Fat. Everybody eats fat, and everyone is addicted to fat. First of all, oils. Everybody puts oils in. Now, I went out to the grocery store after I had this epiphany, and I looked at every oil. that was on the shelf. I'm talking from nasty Crisco oil to high-end avocado oil. Everyone was the same, 14 grams of fat per tablespoon. Now, tell me how many people use 1 tablespoon of oil when they're cooking. Bullshit. They take the fucking jar of oil and they turn it over.
Yeah.
There's 80 to 100 grams of fat before we even start. Now, if you're a meat, dairy, and egg eater, well, you can add another 100 to 200, 300 grams of fat per day. If you're a regular vegan, a mock meat vegan eater, right, with all the mock meats, Impossible burgers, and all that stuff, you can add another 100 to 200 grams of fat per day. And I'm thinking, oh my God, everybody is eating hundreds of grams of fat per day. And we want to know why disease is prevalent in both sides? Yeah, veganism can be a healthy diet.
Mm.
Now that's not why we're vegans. We're vegans for the animals to stop exploitation. But it needs to be a healthy vegan diet. The whole foods that we talk about. I notice that vegans tell everybody to eat fruits and vegetables. And then I also noticed over the years that vegans never eat fruits and vegetables. What the fuck?
Okay.
Like, I'm the only vegan in this area that eats fruits and vegetables all the time. So I recommend to the vegans out there, eat your fruits and vegetables that you're telling everybody else to eat, but keep the mock meats to a minimal. And if you just started, okay, fine, I get it. Get used to it, get the feeling. But to me, after all these years, even though the stuff tastes great, my body thrives these days on healthy food. Thrives when I give it these 30 bananas, like, oh, I'm on top of the world. Yeah, this month. So I caught some injuries recently, and I wasn't squatting for the last year and a half. Last week I squatted 235 3 times for the first time in a year and a half. I did Romanian deadlifts, 235 3 times. I've never done Romanian deadlifts before up until a few months ago when I was in Germany. I already hit 235. I'm stronger. I'm as strong as I've ever been. And I'm going to be shooting for 300-pound squats, which is what I was trying to do a couple years ago before I caught a back injury. My body thrives on healthy food, and the one, the few times when I'm at a veg fest or something, and I go and cheat and eat some fucking stupid mock meat, yeah, it tastes great at the moment. I'm like, oh man, this is good shit. Come see me 3 hours later, I'm going, why did I eat that? Oh, my body does not like this at all. But you feed me all the fruits and the veggies, you feed me all the healthy foods, and I'm just on top of the world. So I'm going to recommend that people get off the fat. Now, I know this is the biggest addiction on the planet because I I still have yet to get one vegan friend off of fat. My ex-wife Erica, she saw me do this years ago when I started with my barley and the lentils, which, by the way, no fat. Everything I was eating in that list 10 years ago was no fat. She's looked, how can you do this every day? Because she was hooked on fat. I'm like, would you try it? What do you mean? Hooked on fat, man, Teresa hooked on fat. All my friends are hooked on fat. And my friends that passed away, Devore passed away from bladder cancer, Lisa from breast cancer, longtime vegans. I said, you guys got to get off the fat and exercise. Get off the fat and come to the gym with me. They couldn't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? You got to be kidding me. Don't do this. I don't. Fat is the addiction of all addictions. In fact, let me break it down simply. Why do meat, dairy, and egg eaters love meat and dairy? All fat.
Mm.
How come people don't like fruits and vegetables? No fat, except one, everyone's favorite fruit, avocados, 32 grams of fat. Okay, people are hooked on fat. I'm telling you. Now you watch. Now right now, you can find Dr. Douglas Graham to back me up. I think John McDougall backed me up on this 2 years ago, but only a few vegan doctors are even talking about this. You mark my words, 10 to 15 years down the road, the medical community finally is going to come out and say the root cause of all of our diseases is fat. Just remember, Gary said that shit on my show. He said that shit on my show in 2025. I'm telling you, it's fat. It's absolute. And then, of course, you got to get the stress out of your life, work on your insomnia, work on getting better sleep. Yes, you need exercise. There are other things that factor. I'm just saying the main cause. The main cause of our diseases is fat. And then when you throw those other factors in, it just compounds the situation, makes it worse.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Yeah, you probably, you're probably right. It makes sense. Like we're having way too much fat. It's just like ridiculous. So I
And
think,
this is what my crazy brain does all day and all night long. It's just constantly, and I don't even want it to do that, by the way. It just won't stop. Like, no, stop. Like for years, I had an insomnia problem. I've corrected a lot of it, but for over 20 years, I slept 2 hours a night, Angie. That's when I was in the trenches. I was driving from city to city, 6, 8, 10, 12 hour drives through the night, lecturing 3, 4 times, jumping in the car, driving 6 more hours. I couldn't stop. I was on the warpath. But sleeping 2 hours a night, man, that's no good either. I looked up research on that. They say that three-quarters of your genes can stop working if you don't get proper sleep. So there are other things that are important to solve. Now, good news nowadays, man, I'm sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours a night sometimes, which is tremendous considering for 20 some odd years it's been two. So and the stress has been greatly reduced. This is why I'm doing a lot of online stuff though.
yeah,
It cuts down on the stress. Face to face is definitely a little more stressful. Even when I was in Cologne with the AV people, it was a little stressful when you got the trolls coming around and wanting to start something. I'm like, this is why I left the streets. This is why I took some time off. I don't know, and I was praising them. I don't know how you guys do this. I did it. Don't get me wrong. I did it for all those years, but man, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's why I went to the classroom, even though I had some trolls during Q&A. At least for 60 minutes, they had to shut the fuck up. Like I didn't want to have an interaction on the streets in Cologne with these people. I wanted to be in the classroom. Shut up. I got something to say. Listen to me for 60 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A session afterward.
yeah. So this is a bit of a random question as well. You probably never had this asked. So, what was your reaction to Charlie Kirk being assassinated? Do you worry that in the future vegans might be targeted by like a crazy hunter or some meat lobbyist? Like, have you ever personally ever received any death threats because of what your activism or anything?
Are you kidding me? Dozens of death threats. I once, back in the day, so the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, which is what oversees wildlife in Michigan. Every state has some kind of agency. It's made up of hunters. They don't give a shit about animals. But they were going to allow hunting in the metro parks, which were supposed to be havens for animals. And I was completely outspoken. This is back in the 90s, and I was threatening them that I was going to start a deer police unit to protect them from the hunters. So I was getting major death threats. And during one major meeting with the state, I had to have 12 Michigan State police officers escort me from my car onto the floor to give a speech. And even when I had to go to the restroom, they went and cleared out the restroom and they followed me around, nothing but death threats. I've had a lot of death threats over the years, had people show up at my house. Once got an email one day and he goes, "Did you go outside and notice the table outside was moved to a different area? We know where you live, Gary." Now, I'm fearless though, and I'm like, you know what? Come the fuck back. I'm even going to leave the front door open. Come back, tough guy. I'm waiting for you anytime. And then there's it's gonna sound bad, but listen, I really only care about animals and then some vegans, not even all, some, but somebody sent me a death threat too, said gave me the name and the address of my mom and my other family members. And they said, keep it up and we're going to go visit them. And I said, they're on your fucking side. They're not vegans. They're not with me. Go ahead. I give a shit. They actually wrote back, man, you're fucking crazy. This is supposed to, yeah, I know it's supposed to scare me. I don't give a fuck. What are you talking about? You're going to go kill meat, dairy, egg eaters? They support you, not me. So it was hard for the people to really scare me. I had the threats. I wasn't scared. Fearlessness is probably my greatest trait. And nowadays, I also have a gun. So I would love for somebody to try to break in so I can finally use this gun and shoot some evil motherfucker between his eyes. I fantasize about this shit sometimes. But And listen, cops didn't know how to handle me back in the day, Andrew. Do you know that when you know how cops like to fuck with protesters? Hey guys, keep it up, we're gonna arrest you. I'd stand up, I would go and turn around to the cops and bump them with my go ahead, arrest me. I give a fuck. Go ahead, take me to jail. I give a shit. And they'd back up and go, man, you're crazy. I go, why? Because I'm not afraid of you.
Mm.
Because I'm not afraid to go to jail. Yeah, you're supposed to scare me. I'm supposed to go, oh, no, please don't take me to jail. Go ahead, take me to jail. Because when I get out, I'm going to come right back here. I'm going to do this all over again. Now what? So, and the judges would threaten that I interrupted judges. Judges didn't know how to handle me. And my attorneys would be like, Gary. And then afterward, they said, man, I never saw a judge listen to somebody before. So, yeah, because I make points. I interrupted them not to be a troublemaker. I had this judge, Judge David Bradfield down in Detroit. He told me, gave me that bullshit line. Oh, Gary, it's not that I disagree with what you believe in, it's how you went about it. And he was a black judge. I said, how dare you stand up there as a black judge and say that? The only reason you're up there is because black activists broke laws like I did. That's the only reason you're sitting up there. He didn't know what, but I'm right. I wasn't being a dick. I'm right. How dare you forget about your history? How dare you forget about the Black Panthers and Dr. King and Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey breaking laws, all that Rosa Parks breaking laws and going to jail? What do you mean you're opposed to me doing civil disobedience and going to jail on behalf of the animals? So judges didn't know how to handle me. The death threats didn't really mean anything to me whatsoever because I my activism was based on pacifism. My lectures, everything I did was based on pacifism, but I'm not a pacifist. I just thought it was a better avenue to go and reach people. But I have an essay on my website, adapt.org, two T's on adapt. It's called Empathy, Education, and Violence, where I talk about a case being made for violent situations, retaliatory violence. And I'm not talking about blowing up a McDonald's. That's absurd. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about busting into a slaughterhouse, defending those that are being killed. You know, vicarious self-defense, protecting somebody that can no longer protect themselves and pulling guns on the slaughterhouse workers and going, no, you drop your weapons. You're the violent ones. I'm stopping your violence. But people seem to forget all throughout history, we've never stopped one social justice, social injustice with peace and pacifism only. There's always been an aspect of violence. And I don't say this with glee. I know I made some jokes. I know I giggled and laughed. It doesn't make me happy to say this, that humans have to be threatened with violence to get them to stop being violent. But this notion that love conquers hate, yeah, it's a cute notion. And yeah, it works a lot of the time, but it doesn't work all the time. Not all bullies understand kindness. You have to bully bullies.
Mm.
And meat, dairy, and egg eaters are bullies. Hunters are bullies. Vivisectionists are bullies. Matadors are bullies. These horse slave owners that have the horse carriages in Seville, Spain, bullies. They don't listen to rational thought, logical explanations. You have to bully sometimes, and it's sad.
Mm.
But it has always happened. And as long as it's done against the abusers directly, I've always supported that stuff.
Mm. It's funny you mentioned that. That was one of my questions. So you've already answered the question, but it's like, how do people think we stopped the Nazis? Like we had to violently stop them. It's just the
Yeah. Do people really think that there were people standing outside in front of Hitler's headquarters with a placard saying, please stop killing the Jews? Hey, hey, ho, ho, please stop killing the Jews today. What? No. They busted in. The Allied forces said, hey, we told you. We warned you to stop. Now you are going to stop. And this bullet's going to make you stop. What do you do with violent bullies? That again, the notion that love conquers hate is just a cute notion. Sounds good. Yeah, it's poetic. And if humans were really rational beings, it would. It would work. But we're not rational beings. Not all of us. Some of us are. And again, yeah, I've conquered a lot of hate with my peaceful lectures. But again, what about the 50% of the crowd that walked out and didn't change? Now what? That's when I want to be violent to others. Like when you hear the truth and don't change and you buckle down even further, well, hey, we should be able to take it to a next level because you're already taking it to the most horrible level possible. You're the ones committing rape. You're the ones committing atrocities. Why do you get to continue with your atrocities and I got to sit there and take it? The animals got to sit there and take it. I got to hold a sign. I got to write a letter to the editor. Real.
Mm.
Now, it's good to be the king, good to be the queen, right? And we get to kill all we want. You guys, you have to write a letter to the editor. You got to write your senator a letter. Ah, what a beautiful, horrible system humans have set up to oppress others.
Yeah, 100%.
They can commit all the violence they want to commit, but we can't commit violence to stop their violence.
Yeah.
It melts my brain.
It's only justifiable if it's for other humans, not for animals, unfortunately. That's what they think.
Yeah, and I do point out in that essay when people have heard me talk about this and they become upset, nobody opposes violence. They oppose who I propose to be violent for. Nobody thinks we should be killing humans on behalf of chickens and turkeys and pigs. Well, I think the chickens, the turkeys, and the pigs would disagree. And I think it only matters what the victims think. But that's what they're opposing. Or how about this stuff that I have this essay that I wrote in 97 and nobody's even read it. The paragraph is deep down. I truly hope. No, let me start. First, I said, sometimes I think the only effective way of destroying speciesism is for each uncaring human to be forced to live the life of an enslaved animal, of a monkey in a laboratory, an elephant in the circus, a cow in a feedlot. Then I think they understand oppression. So deep down, I hope that oppression returns to uncaring people tenfold. I listed 5 things that I wished would happen. I hope that sons accidentally shoot their fathers on hunting excursions. No one ever complained about that line, by the way. I said, I hope vivisectionists catch diseases and they wither away and die because money could be spent on real scientific techniques instead of torturing mice and monkeys. No one got upset with that. I said that I hope men who wear fur coats are raped so horribly that they become disemboweled. No one's ever complained about that. I hope that matadors and elephant trainers get trampled to death. No one ever complained about that. And then I said, I hope that women in fur coats get raped, and everyone complained about that. Um, it is outrageous for people who do not understand what I actually said there. Deep down, I hope this happens so you can understand. I wasn't calling for it. I think rape is the most evil thing that anyone can do to another. That's why I chose it. People are mad at me because I was good at being mean. I was trying to be mean. What was I supposed to say? I hope that women in fur coats hit the lottery. I hope they're walking down the street one night and George Clooney and Brad Pitt fall in love with them because they run into them. Well, what do you mean? I was trying to be mean to them. I want evil people doing evil things to have evil done to them so they would understand why evil is wrong. And it was just a wish and just a fantasy of mine. But people have taken that out of context as well. But there's a justification. So the point is that no one even disapproves of rape. I'll prove it to you. Every time a child molester gets convicted and goes to jail, here's what people say in America. I can't wait till Bubba gets a hold of him. What do you think Bubba's going to do to him in jail? Counsel him?
Sing a song to him.
Yeah. Or rape his fucking asshole. People do it all the time. But again, people don't think it's wrong to rape cows and pigs and chickens. People don't think it's wrong to harm these animals, but we all understand that it's wrong to rape and harm a child. But the people want to focus on what I said. But again, you don't oppose it. You just don't think women in fur coats should have to suffer that consequence that only people that rape little boys and girls should.
Mhm.
Keep in mind, too, that women in fur coats are paying people to rape animals. Foxes are anally electrocuted, chinchillas are vaginally electrocuted. The animals that people are wearing and eating have all been raped. So I don't understand either how my wishes of retaliatory violence are worse than the violence that's actually committed.
Mm. And at the end of the day, it's just a wish. It's not like it's going to come true. So
Didn't ask anyone to do it. No one's ever done. I went and raped this woman in a fur coat because Gary Yourofsky said so. And nonsense. Is that because the people deep down, I think, do understand what I'm saying? I'm angry. And by the way, how could I not be angry? Is it because if you're not angry at the world, you're not paying attention, or you're still worshiping at the altar of humanity, and you think that human life is more valuable than animal life, which is also a problem. It is not more valuable. It is not even equally as valuable. It's less valuable. There's nothing beneficial about human beings to the earth. Nothing whatsoever. We're less than the animals. We're the inferior ones. Animals are the superior ones, but we flip the table on them, which is what evil people do, which is what bullies do. And we've taken advantage of them. We've dominated them and put them in this horrible situation.
mm. Do you have any like fun, crazy stories that happen in prison or one of your student lectures that maybe someone's not heard before? Because I've heard you tell many amazing stories, but I'm just wondering, is there any that have not been told yet?
God, I've told all the great ones. I'm trying to think right now. I don't want to redo something. Crazy prison stories, man. I got so it's crazy. I guess you heard the Gordy stories in jail already with me and Gordy over there. First night in prison, maybe people didn't hear. I know I've talked about it a few times. My first night in prison, I was uh, I was in militant mode, right? They brought me to the infirmary. I'm ready for a battle. And if people think I'm radical now, good God, you don't even know radical Gary. You had to go back to the 90s to see how radical I was. Um, I was ready for this fight about vegan food. And they bring me to the infirmary, and I'm pacing back and forth. And I'm mad, and there's two nurses and a doctor. They said, anything we should know about you, Gary? I said, yeah, I'm a vegan. They just continue writing down. I'm looking around like, that's not a problem? They're like, no, as long as you tell us right now. I'm like, what? I don't like in my head, well, what is going on? I thought there was going to be no way you're getting vegan food. And I was prepared to ask for PB&J, by the way. And I end up looking around the room, and on the wall, I catch a poster and it says, World Diets, kosher, halal, vegetarian, vegan. And I said, wait a second, are you telling me I can get vegan food? They're like, yeah, as long as you tell us in advance. So that was an interesting moment. Oh, and I'll tell you, wait, that just led me to something else. So remember how I said I was fearless? Well, I got to take this back. There was one moment I got. So I was put in the first this was during the when I got arrested in 97. I was being held for 10 days on a bail hearing. So that other story I told you, that was from 99 after the 2-year trial, and I got sentenced to jail. So I'm in the detention center for the first 10 days, and I'm all over the news. And I'm the lead story in every station. And the alpha male stands up, and he was a pretty big guy. He said, where the fuck you get off coming to our country and doing all this stuff? And this happened in Canada. I'm from America. I'm from Michigan. And I tried to explain. I said, listen, man, these people were breaking the necks of mink and ripping their skin off to make a fur coat. I gave these animals a chance to be free. I wanted to stop all that violence. And he says to me, you're in the wrong fucking cell because we're all fucking violent. My heart hit the ground. Now you got to understand, this is all within 2 seconds in my head, this crazy brain of mine. First thing was actually, man, what a great line. Oh my God, it's such a good line. If I get out of this, I can't wait to tell everybody this. You're in the wrong fucking cell because we're all fucking violent. And I was the first time ever I was scared. Now, I'm not saying I could have kicked everybody's ass over the years that I wasn't afraid of, but I wasn't afraid. I was scared. Oh, and not only that, he had 10 people behind him, his crew. They were started walking towards me. And in my head is all too, oh, I don't want to get my ass kicked. Please don't hit me in the eye. Can you hit me? Don't break my jaw. Hit me in the body shot. So all this stuff, I'm like, but I have my hands up and they're walking towards me. And at that moment, the warden comes walking down the hallway and he calls me and say, hey, Yourofsky, come over here. And I'm like, oh. When I go up to the side of the cell and he wanted to tell me the rules. He goes, just so you know, on Tuesday, there's a commissary, and you can't have more than $50 in your account. You need to make your bed every morning. He was telling me the rules. We're going to give you vegan food, breakfast, lunch, and all. I'm like, oh, God. So under my breath, I said, can I speak to you in private? And he looked me up and down. It's kind of a look that we give people sometimes. We want to know if they're telling the truth or checking you out. And he looks at me and he sees, like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know, if I'm mad, if I'm angry, if I'm serious. He saw the serious nature of my look. I'm like, can I speak to you in private? He goes, okay. He goes, guard, open up the cell, bring Yourofsky down the hallway. So he takes me down the hallway. He says, what's going on? So, well, I can't really say exactly what's going on, but if you can move me to a different unit right now, I'd appreciate that. It's not going to be pretty if you keep me in this unit. Just take me somewhere else. And he checked me out again up and down and saw I was telling the truth. He goes, okay. And he moved me somewhere else and never caught another problem. In fact, after that, I almost started 2 or 3 fights. Prison's not a pretty place, and you have to stand up for yourself and you have to be tough. And but that was the only time somebody ever got me. You're in the wrong fucking cell because we're all fucking violent. I'm making this guy famous. I don't know what his name is, but if he ever sees this, he'll be like, "That was me." And there was one other funny story. This wasn't in prison or something. This is one of my jail stories that I don't get to tell that often. I talked about Judge David Bradfield. I did bring this up on a show, but I always like bringing this up. I decided one day my attorney was running late, Matt Savage, great friend of mine. And I'm sitting in the front of the courtroom waiting for the judge to come in. And I started thinking, how come people stand up for judges? What kind of shit is this? Why are we showing deference to a judge? Somebody that went to school, got a diploma, is wearing a black robe. I'm supposed to stand up like he's God or like he's the Messiah? This is bullshit. Then I remember the Black Panthers used to stop, not stand up for judges back in the day. I'm like, you know what? That's a good act of civil disobedience. When this judge comes in, I'm not standing up. Now, if you knew me again, so if you followed the news in the 90s, you knew who I was. So I bring this up because the judge comes in, it's David Bradfield, and the bailiff says, everybody rise for the Honorable Judge David Bradfield. Guess who's in the front row like this? I don't stand up. Bailiff walks up to me, says, sir, stand up. I shook my head. The other bailiff comes up, sir, I said stand up. I said, Bradfield said, by name, he goes, because he was watching the news, he goes, Gary. I look up, he goes, Gary, I'm not trying to make you do something you don't want to do. It's just kind of a tradition that people stand up when a judge enters the courtroom. I know why people do it. That's why I'm not doing it. And we had to stare down for about 30, 45 seconds. And guess who won that battle?
Harry.
He ends up calling off the bailiff. He goes like this. And then afterward, whatever, the court, and then Matt finally shows up. And then after, Matt always has to talk to whatever the clerk and all that stuff and grab some paperwork. I'm in the hallway. Matt comes out in the hallway. He says, did you not stand up for the judge today? I said, yeah, fuck that. I'm not standing up anymore. Fuck them. Who are they? And he says, okay, Gary. Now, I had just met Matt back in the day. We are great friends still to this day. This is 25, 30 years later. But he says, okay, Gary, I really admire everything you do. You know I do. That's why I'm representing you pro bono. But from now on, then, you're going to stay in the hallway until I start the court case. Then I'm going to come get you because I don't like the scene that you're about to cause now every time. So I don't care, but I'm not standing up for judges anymore. Ain't happening. So that was I never liked authority growing up my whole life. I despised it. Teachers, cops, Well, later on, it became judges because I had to confront them. And I never once thanked the judge because none of them ever let me off. Like I would only, to me, I always hated when people like the judge fined them or whatever, gave them a sense, and they're like, "Thank you, Your Honor." I turn around and walk away. Like, what? Oh, I'm thanking you for like if you take your gavel and say, "I can't," I find this man not guilty for trying to help innocent beings. I say, "Well, thank you, Your Honor, for being the first judge on this planet to understand." But I never thank judges either. In fact, there was one time, Bradfield, I was in front of three times. So the third time, he he wanted uh, he wanted to lecture me, and he said if he didn't get to lecture me for a couple of minutes, that he was going to give me 93 days in jail, which was the maximum for a misdemeanor. And Matt was begging. I said, Matt, I'll do the fucking 93 days. I don't give a fuck. I am not about to be lectured by a fucking ignorant asshole like this. He said, Gary, you don't need to do 93 days. Look at all the things you do. Will you just listen to him for 2 minutes? He just wants to say his piece of mind. I said, you know what then? I like you, Matt. I respect you. You want me to do this? I'm not looking at him though. So I kid you not. I'm gonna stand up right now. I turned to the side and I faced sideways as he lectured me. And Matt, the whole time, he's just like, I can't believe what Gary does and gets away with. And Bradfield spoke. He was pissed. I went look, and when he finally was finished, I just stomped out of the courtroom. I just walked right out. I looked at Matt, I'm like, is that it? And left. But I didn't. I don't like authority, especially ignorant authority, especially bullies. And Bradfield was a bully. And most judges are. Most judges think they understand morality. No, they understand paperwork. They understand. It's like somebody that's really religious that knows the Bible. You don't understand morality. You've just memorized a huge book. That's all you've done just because you know the scriptures. You don't understand right from wrong. You're just telling me a story.
Yeah.
It's like me, like you could put on old TV shows, The Jeffersons and Good Times and Columbo. If I watch reruns, I can tell you word for word what's going on. That doesn't make me, it just makes me have a good memory.
Yeah.
That's all judges are. That I listen, I'm impressed that you can memorize all these law books, but you don't understand right from wrong.
Yeah.
You're just reciting something that you've been taught. And that's all judges do. I'm still waiting, by the way. One of the reasons I did the mink liberation that I don't think people understand, that 97 mink liberation, I had a goal of convincing the judge to be the first judge on the planet to find an animal liberationist not guilty. I really thought he was going to find me not guilty, especially because it was the best speech I ever came up with. But I'll tell you what did happen real quickly is my attorney for Canada was not Matt Savage, it was Steve Rogan. He told me that morning that he talked to the Crown attorney and I was getting 3 years in prison. I know this because Steve said, Gary, he was begging me not to give the speech. Don't do this. You're going to make it worse. You're already getting 3 years. I said, Steve, this speech is being said. There's nothing you can say that will convince me not to say this on behalf of the mink and on behalf of all animals. And I gave the speech, and the judge listened. There were three times during the speech he turned his head. I was like, and he gave me 6 months.
Mm.
I saved myself 2.5 years from that speech. And Steve leaned over after the judge said the sentence. He said, I can't believe this. I've never seen anybody talk themselves down from a sentence. All my years of practicing, he really listened. I said, well, of course he had to. Like there was one moment I said, if it's not, I asked this court. It's my presence in this courtroom today is paradoxical. I asked this court if it's not a crime to torture, enslave, and murder animals, then how can it be a crime to free tortured, enslaved, and soon to be murdered animals? That was the first time he turned his head. I was making points. I mean, as long as you were paying attention, you had to acknowledge all the contradictions I was pointing out, and he did, and he did give me the BS stuff at the end. It's not that I disagree with what you believe in. I have to punish you because you broke the law. And I'm like, no, you can take the gavel and say I cannot find this man guilty for being a liberationist, for trying to set enslaved animals free. I really thought he was going to do it, but mark my words, in the near future, somebody is going to, some judge somewhere on this planet is going to hit that gavel down for a liberationist and say, I can't. How can I send someone to jail for trying to stop cruelty, trying to stop violence, trying to stop exploitation and oppression?
I think that judge probably wanted to, but he would have maybe lost his job if he let you go. He would have been sued by the mink industry. So yeah, probably his heart was saying to let you go, but his head was like, I'm going to lose my job. So I think you did the best you could do in that situation. So yeah.
Yeah. The judge's name, by the way, was A. Cusinado. I still remember.
So I know we've been talking a long time. I just have a couple of last questions. I know we've been going for a couple of hours now. It's been amazing. So I just wanted to ask, have you ever thought about like writing a book about your life and activism, and potentially you could use the proceeds to go to Sasha Farm? Because I know in the past you mentioned that you never were interested in doing a book, but I think you have so much like knowledge to share, but also fun, interesting stories. I think it would be a big seller, and it would help raise money for the Sasha Farm.
Well, I love the notion of helping Sasha. I still got to say, I have no interest in writing a book, especially because I have written books. They're audiobooks, my speeches, my interviews. I have audiobooks. I'm so ADD, ADHD. I don't even know if I can sit down and actually write an entire book and then go over the book and edit it. I mean, I remember writing my earlier speeches would take me months and months just to do 60 minutes. So I still have no interest, although I wouldn't mind if somebody else wanted to write a book about me.
Mm.
I'd sit down for an interview and give them all the information they needed. I think I had somebody recently on a podcast from France. Was it Jeremy? He seemed interested. I have turned down a couple book offers, and I turned down TED twice, by the way. A lot of people say, "Why don't you go on TED?" TED wanted me badly when I was in Israel, but they wanted too much control. They actually wanted to edit my speech and limit me to 20 minutes. And I said, no, 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 no. I don't do 20-minute speeches. The shortest I'll do is 45 minutes. I'll make you a deal because on Monday, Wednesday, Friday in America, college classes are only 50 minutes. And by the time the teacher comes in and takes attendance and people sit down, I got 45 minutes. I'll trim my 70-minute speech to 45, but it's not going a minute below 45. And you're not editing. What makes you think you can edit my speech? Well, who are you talking to? That's like telling, you know what, Michael Jordan, I don't like the way you shoot. You need to change your shooting style. Or pulling Stevie Ray Vaughan aside, I say, you know, the way you're doing these solos, man, I don't know. It's too much power. Like, don't tell me how to give speeches. Don't tell me what to say. I've mastered it. This is the gift that I have. The only thing that I've ever done with greatness on this planet. So I turned them down in 2012. They came back in 13 when I was there. They wanted to record it. I said no. I said, not unless you want to do 45 minutes and you just want to record it, but you don't get any say whatsoever. And they insisted on editing my speech. So no books, no TED Talks, at least in the near future. Now, I did say earlier, I don't really plan stuff. So who knows, maybe next year
It could be called
I'll be on your show.
it could
Yeah,
be called the
maybe
best
next year
book
you'll
you've
be like,
ever
I
read.
told you, Gary, I told you to write a book, and now you did it. So
It,
right now, I still have no interest.
it could be called the best book you've ever read, you know?
Maybe. I do have a lot of stories. Now, you were asking me for stories that I haven't told, so you put me on the spot. But when I first came back here, when I gave, I did the fundraiser in Frankfurt for Sasha Farm, and I don't. I appreciate the adoration I get, of course. It's better to be loved than hated, but I don't seek it. I don't want it. So there were 100 people there for the fundraiser. They were all Gary vegans, and they were really fawning over me, and I was feeling uncomfortable. And I said, you know what? Can I just tell you some stories instead?
Mm.
They're like, oh yeah. So I started telling stories. I think 2 hours later, I said, am I talking too much? And they're like, no, tell us more stories. I go, I got stories you won't believe this time. And I have crazy stories. So part of me, when I came back, I was thinking, maybe I should go around and just sell tickets for events and donate money to Sasha. And it's just story night with Gary. You won't believe what happened to me in 1997 when I tried to burn down this first store, blah, blah, blah. So I have crazy stories from back in the day. I might do something like that. It's still going to be audio. I'm an audio guy. Even though I have a journalism degree, I don't know if I can sit down and put it all in writing. I'd rather just say it.
Sounds amazing. I think a lot of people nowadays record the audio and then it just gets converted onto book, onto paper.
Yes, I could do that too. But
Yeah.
it sounds bad, right? I mean, I've always been told you're so entertaining. I don't know if you
Mhm.
get the same effect from reading the stories that I tell because you're not getting the intonation and the pauses and oh my God, this. I think it's more entertaining when you hear me talk about the stories
Yeah.
than actually reading it.
So, final question now on closing. So, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting off becoming an activist? Like, what would you recommend for them to do? And is there a message you would like to leave for vegans listening to this interview?
Do something, not nothing. Doing nothing has never made the world a better place. All the ideas floating about in your head, all those notions, put them into action. Stop having meetings and stop having discussions about the meetings and go do it. The root word of activism is active. That's why I did shit. I became active. I never accomplished shit from being inactive. So go out and do something. I highly recommend now, after 29 years, I would focus on education. I ran the gamut of activists, different spokes of the wheel. I tried everything. Uh, while everything needs to be a part of that wheel, part of that pie, education is where it's at. That's when I made massive change. I don't recommend civil disobedience, and I took part in about a dozen arrests. I don't think it's effective to go to jail anymore. I don't think anybody cares. It used to mean something, especially in the 60s and 70s, 80s. I caught the tail end in the 90s, but they were starting not to care in the 90s, but it was the tail end. They really don't care anymore. Going to jail doesn't do anything. I also did a 10-day hunger strike. When I was there. Hunger strikes don't work anymore either. And Barry Horn, a great activist from Britain, did one that ended up killing him too. It used to mean something. It used to get a lot of attention, media attention. They don't care. You're just going to starve yourself to death over nothing. So I would avoid civil disobedience. And although it put me on the map, I'm not taking away all this that I did, everything that I once did because it put me on the map. But if you want effective activism, I would avoid that. I would avoid sign carrying protests. If you're going to be on the streets, do what Anonymous for the Voiceless does. Confront people, talk to people, have the cameras there, have the video equipment, have the TV set so you can show them the abuse that's going on and then exchange with them. So it's more education than just marching and screaming and doing slogans. I don't think that's effective either. And I did that probably 500 times back in the day. I had very little success with sign carrying marching protests. It's got to be education based. I don't think writing letters to the editor, if there's people, if there are even newspapers anymore, I don't know. I don't think that's an effective thing. The truth is, I don't really think media is that important either. I stopped doing American media in 2006, 2007 when I figured it out that nobody turns on the 5 o'clock news to change their life. It's entertainment. Even if I'm talking about a serious topic, and I was, it was as soon as I was done, here comes the weather. Here comes the sports. Who won Monday Night Football? Who got traded? Who got divorced in Hollywood? What's the new movie? Where's the stock market at? It was just an entertainment thing. I said, you know what? This isn't working either. I would do anything to get on the news. I'm not sure it's valuable. Now, I did some Israeli media when I was there in 12 and 13. They begged me to do it. I said, okay. And I guess I'm glad I did that because I heard that those interviews I did converted a lot of people or made a lot of people activists. But I'm not thrilled with media. I understand it needs to be a part of that pie, but I would focus on education. So I would focus on doing Anonymous for the Voiceless, Cubes of Truth. And if there's not one in your area, start one. Go into colleges and high schools like I did. And don't think, oh, Gary had a magic formula. You know what my magic formula was? I asked. I picked a city. I found three, four, five, or six colleges in that city. I went to the website. I grabbed every professor's email and sent them a note. And not a long, detailed note. It was a short note, and it was an honest, open note. Hey, my name's Gary Yourofsky. I'm one of the most outspoken activists on this planet. I've been arrested 13 times. I freed mink from a fur farm. I even support violence in certain situations. I didn't want any surprises. I told, and then, can I speak to your class about animal rights and veganism? I figured 1 in 100 would say yes. You know what? Two, three, or four out of 100 were saying yes. And then once I got into those classes, they would tell their colleagues, oh my God, you got to get this guy in. We've never met a real activist before. He's a real activist. He's going to jail. I heard that from professors a lot. Man, we only read about activists. We never met one before. Now, it gave me an upper hand to get in. I get that. But that doesn't mean you also can't get into the classrooms. You don't have to be a famous activist to get into the classroom. Just start asking, and somebody's going to say yes. And don't think they have to be vegans. More than 90% of the professors that brought me in, they were not vegans. This is a relevant topic. And it's a relevant topic in classroom situations. Focused on philosophy classes, of course, but sociology. You focus on public speaking. If you're a good speaker, I ended up doing a ton of public speaking classes because the public speaking professors heard, oh my God, you got to hear this guy give a lecture. You've never seen somebody speak like this. So they'd come in and say, you're the perfect example. This is how we want people to speak and engage the crowd. So I did that. Composition classes. Why composition? Tell the professor you want the students to write an essay on your speech. That's a great topic. So women's studies. When I did my women's studies classes, I used more about what female animals were going through. There should be a connection there. I did black studies classes. I made slavery comparisons. So the only classes I really never solicited were math classes. I didn't know how to make it relevant, but everybody else got an email, and it was tedious to grab everyone's email. And don't send out a mass email. Each individual, you guys have the same note, but cut and paste to each individual professor and ask them. That's what I would recommend. And you could also do churches, synagogues, and mosques. Whatever, wherever humans are gathering, see if you can get in front of them and tell them about what animals are going through. And the coolest thing too, if you have the capability, bring some vegan food. I always loved when some vegans found out I was in their city. And again, I didn't want to hang out, but they said, is there anything we can do? I said, yeah. Why don't you bring some of those mock ribs to the classroom? Bring some of those so delicious, or those tofuty cutie ice cream sandwiches. I'd love to give it to the crowd, because after my talks, even if you weren't going vegan, at that moment you were willing to try some plant-based food. And there were plenty of times I had everybody open up the package of tofuty cutie ice cream bars. And I said, hold on a second. At the same time, everybody take a bite. 1, 2, 3, bite. And there was a collective gasp. Oh my God, this tastes so. What do you think we eat? Cardboard? Stop it already. It tastes the same. This is what I'm telling you. You're not even missing the taste that you think you're going to miss. So if you could bring food, have them, try it afterward, do that too. But I would focus on education, and of course, just do something. Stop telling me what you want to do. I still have people, when I run into them, want to tell me what they're going to do, but they never do it. Doesn't count. Not interested. Don't care about what you're planning unless you're actually doing it. And I recommend very little planning, more action, and then figure it out afterward. Hey, should I have done that? Maybe I should do this, but go out and test it. Real-time testing. Then figure out, okay, how can I make this tighter? And that's what I did. My early speech, and there are a couple of videos of my early speeches. Some close friends really like it. They're like, it's so raw, man. But if I watch my early speeches, I'm like, oh man, no, oh God. But when I got to Georgia Tech, well, that was 8 solid years of lecturing. I'm like, oh, that is my prime. I am just fucking controlling the crowd. Everything is perfect that I'm saying. So you'll get better with time
Mm.
once you start doing something too. Don't be so hard on yourself if the first or second or third time it doesn't go the way you planned. Well, when does anything go the way you planned the first friggin' time? You could be in the gym, someone shows you a new workout, you think you're doing it right the first time. Carmen was showing me step ups the first time. I couldn't even do it. I thought it was literally physiologically impossible to do this movement. Now it's been 3 weeks or a month, and the other day said, "You got it." Like, okay, I got it. So same thing with activism. Get out there. Same thing with public speaking. It might not come out right the first few times. Keep doing it. All of a sudden, you'll master it. You'll master working with the crowd. Just know your arguments.
Mm.
If you're going to go in front of people, know an answer to every stupid question that they have, especially the Bible stuff. And go to my website. Okay, go to where I think I got the tightest religious stuff out there. So go to my website. I got a Bible section. I got a Quran section. But make sure you know answers to everything. And this new thing with the crop deaths. I mean, point out to them, first of all, what do you mean the crop? 2% of the world is vegan. How the fuck is this our problem? The animals you eat are eaten from the crops. You're condemning something that you're taking part in? What do you mean? So understand here, I'm gonna give everyone a pointer. Maybe we'll leave it at this. If you ever think that you're if you ever think that you don't know how to answer the question or that the meat, dairy, and egg eater has a point, they don't. They never, ever have a point. If they did, then animals would deserve to be exploited, raped, tortured, and killed. So your job as an activist, figure out the lie, figure out the misinformation, figure out the disinformation as they're speaking. It's there, and then pounce. They have never, 2,660 lectures I gave, they never made one valid point. In fact, the toughest question I ever got, it wasn't even challenging me. It's a seventh grader in Toledo, Ohio. He said, Gary, I believe everything you say. Honestly, I want to become vegan. What happens today when I go home and my mom says I can't be vegan? That was the toughest question I ever had. And it wasn't a question challenging whether humans should be kind to animals, whether animals should be free. Okay, it's a different, it was a different question. I never really could say, oh my God, what happens when mommy and daddy say no? Oh my, like, well, this is a horrible situation. So just know they never make a valid point because I see too many vegans going, well, okay, I see what you're saying. No. And don't be afraid to tell them, no, I don't see what you're saying. No, I would tell you how many students I would say, and they would always get a laugh. I'm like, that's a dumb question. That's absolutely a stupid question that you just said. And then the rest of the class, they might not laugh, but at least most of the class would laugh. And I'm like, let me explain to you why it's a dumb thing that you're saying. God says it's okay to kill animals. The Garden of Eden was a vegan haven. What do you mean? God created these animals. If you say that God says it's okay to kill animals, then you're not talking about God. You're talking about the devil. Point out their misinformation to them. And it doesn't mean you're going to win the debate because the other person would have to concede and they don't always want to concede, but you'll be saying the right thing. And you want to make sure you're always saying the right thing that needs to be said and representing the animals how you would want to be represented if you were in their position.
Yeah, yeah, beautifully said. So thank you so much for your time today and everything you do for the animals. It's so great to see you back out of retirement. It's like the best thing the movement needed. I think the movement kind of was like on a bit of a dip. Now it's on the way up again. So thanks for coming back.
I'm sorry. I hope so. And thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed this, Andrew, and much love to Nicole. Get better, stay strong.
Thank you. And finally, everyone donate to Sasha Farm and please support them or your local sanctuary. And I'll be making a donation after this call. So thank you so much, Gary.
Peace out.